Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I am joined by my lovely co-host,
Mary.
And today we're talking about Season 23, Survivor South Pacific, where everything is about Ozzy, Coach, Brandon, and Cochran. And I mean everything. Even if you hear from someone else, it's likely about Ozzy, Coach, Brandon, or Cochran.
True.
So Mary, coming off the heels of Nicaragua, which we thought was okay, and then Redemption Island, which we thought was like okay, and by okay at best, I mean, how do you feel about this season?
Oh, this is like bottom tier.
This is worse?
Oh yes, much worse in my opinion.
Explain.
Mainly because it is only about 4 people, the same 4 people over and over and over again.
Isn't Redemption Island only about like 3 people though?
Okay, but the 4 people that it's about, I don't care about any of them. Except Ozzy, kind of. But I don't care about Coach or Brandon or Cochran. I don't like any of them. Sure, they're characters. And I think this is like...
Where's our female lead character?
Right, there's no female lead character, sure. I guess maybe Dawn, but not even.
Everything with her is about Cochran.
Yeah, basically. So I don't know. I just really do not like the cast of this.
Whitney's too busy cheating on her husband with Keith. Stacy makes funny jokes, but she's only there for like 4 episodes. I'm trying to think of all the women. Christine was on Redemption, but they didn't care about her story at all.
I mean, don't forget the winner. Sophie.
Oh, yeah. I legitimately was running through the women and forgot about Sophie. Yeah, all of her content seems like it comes in the last like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yes.
Like from the moment they decided, yeah, you know what? Cochran's not a hero in the story anymore. That's when Sophie pops up the most. And she's like, you know what? Screw Cochran.
And that's what it's like, so conflicting. Like, who am I supposed to be rooting for in this season? I want to root for Ozzy, and I do root for Ozzy, but he still has like lots of kind of issues, and then he doesn't even end up winning.
No.
Like, he's the only halfway redeeming factor of this season, in my opinion. But yeah, it's definitely it's a season I never really want to watch again, honestly.
I believe this, if I had to take a guess based on how the edit plays out and the story plays out in the show, I think the show wants you to root for Savai'i, the tribe, and the fact that Upolu got the upper hand, they did not like that. And it's like, and it's true, it's like hard to root for Upolu, you know, like why am I supposed to root for this tribe that's basically a cult, as it's been called multiple times in the show, run by a coach who's not funny anymore, doesn't make one joke the whole season I thought was funny.
Right.
Whereas in Heroes vs. Villains and Tocantins, like hilarious. This season he's too on top of his game.
Yeah, this is actually one of the best games he's played, and yet he's still like,
He's just no fun.
Yeah, in your opinion, I don't really care for Coach anytime he plays, but I see what you're saying, and I think the other reason that this is just so frustrating, like it does have some redeeming qualities. I mean, I do like the fact, at least on a rewatch that I haven't watched in a long time, that like it's not predictable of which tribe is going to win, because it's like exactly one tribe wins, one tribe loses, one tribe wins.
Yeah.
So like they're evenly matched.
That's the only season where this happens.
The
only season where it happens.
Where they were gonna go to rocks, basically, like that was interesting. There's some interesting times in the season. It's just, I don't know. To me, it has so much like also, it's hard to watch.
We're gonna go through the whole season chronologically. We're obviously this is one podcast for whole season. So like our other deep dives, whatever I call them now, season breakdowns, you know, we're going to skip things, but the reality is that we're going to go through the whole season chronologically. And I do have fan questions at the end from our patrons on Patreon. All right. So episode 1, if this film's right after 22 got done airing, so everyone here knows about Redemption Island, how it works, you know, when is it implemented? I know they changed a little bit this season. Like instead of having just the last place person go, it's like everybody but the first place person gets eliminated from Redemption, which is a little bit better. It makes Redemption a little bit cleaner to keep track of who's there, because it was getting ridiculous last season.
Yeah.
But they are back in Samoa first time since season 20, and they'll be back in Samoa next season. And it is much more beautiful location than Nicaragua. Like Nicaragua, I'm sure Nicaragua is beautiful, but the time they filmed there, both times was not. And then they're going to film there in the future for 2930. No spoilers, but it is not going to be that much prettier. To be about the same. And I'm like, why did you go back? So anyways, at least Survivor but this is the first time I think Survivor's like left a locate. No, that's not true because season 12, they went back to Panama after going there for 7 and 8. I was going to say it's the first time they've like returned back to a location after already having filmed there, but not necessarily actually.
I mean, sure, maybe it's not like the greatest, but we talked about at least it was different, at least it's different than Fiji.
Yes.
Like there's different vegetation. There's some different rock formations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like if you just do the exact same ones all the time, like we know now, it does get a little bit visually boring.
I think Fiji is more beautiful.
Yes.
If you had only one season each location, I'd be like, Fiji's more beautiful. Yeah. So I get why that was picked.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's nice seeing different beaches.
Yeah.
It's nice seeing different challenge locations. So, all right. So Ozzy and Coach are back. And I want to talk about this real quick in terms of why were they picked? Like Rob and Russell, it made sense in 22. They had a whole rivalry. Ozzy and Coach have never met each other on the show.
Sure. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I get each individually. Like everyone loves Ozzy for the most part. He's a fan favorite.
Coach is a big joke, as Russell said.
And I feel like Coach is just so... Like you either love him or hate him kind of thing. So,
and I loved him.
Right. I know.
First 2 seasons, I loved him.
Yeah. So I think they were just trying to get, honestly, I just think they're trying to get drama and want things to happen.
They're like, we're doing this twist again, but better.
Right.
I think a better pick would have been instead of 2 male leads, 2 female leads. So I don't know what the perfect combination here is by any means, but a Parvati and Sandra, for example. If you're going to do non-winners like they did with Rob and Russell, just pick like what are 2 big name female characters? I know it's harder to pull from in these first 20 seasons than as male.
Because they just did 2 male. And so,
why not even out and do 2 female?
That makes sense.
Another like rivalry of sorts, some sort of like head to head. Amanda and Parvati. I mean, they had a whole arc where they were like worked together and then they were against each other in 20. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just trying to pick. But I think it worked out. I think Ozzy worked out.
Yeah, Ozzy worked out.
The matchup is kind of like weird. Like it's like forcing a matchup for no reason.
Right.
We get Cochran is presented as a superfan. I know he's not the first one ever presented as a superfan on the show, but he's definitely the most prominent because I know Todd in season 15 was a superfan who won the show. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe like the more time that passes, like, okay, like you've watched all 22 seasons before this one. Like now we've reached for that, all it takes to watch 22 seasons and to know that Ozzy and Coach played twice before for Jeff be like, how'd you know that? Cochran, you just knew off the top of your head. You'd have pulled out Google or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Cochran, who I don't like, he's a super fan and that's great. But like Jeff had to have known that before. Jeff, I'm sure, was part of the viewing the contestants. Exactly. Yeah.
But he has to act like, because it's on TV. So now he has to act like this is news.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
He's doing it for the audience.
He does it for the audience.
All right.
Good job, Cochran.
I got to point out, and I forgot to verify this information because I verified it a long time ago, but I'm 99% sure, like Jimmy T in season 21, Rick this season got in via a Sears competition to get on the show. And man, I feel like both times it has not worked out.
Yeah, who's Rick?
Yeah, exactly. Who's Rick this season is a great question. He gets a confessional here in the first episode, and like you don't hear again from him for like, I don't know, half the season. Like, who is Rick?
The only thing I remember is a cowboy, and he didn't really like Albert. And that's about it.
He didn't like the line that they were doing in their group. And it's like, how oblivious are you that this cult is lying? So anyways, Brandon Hantz, of course, is Russell Hantz's nephew. He wants to keep his relation a secret. That won't last long. Christine calls Ozzy and Coach temporary players. And it's as if Christine did not watch season 22. And Francesca did the same thing to Rob and Russell.
Yeah.
She didn't call them temporary players, but she basically said they got to go.
Right.
And it's like, what? Like, did you not learn anything? Did you even watch the last season? I know we're in an era of a lot of recruits on the show, but like, come on.
Well, and she might have been. Christine's not one to. She just has a personality where she's going to say what she thinks. And I think also you want to. In some people's mind, it's better to lower someone's threat level or increase someone's threat level so that they do get out right away. So saying something like this, yes, you are putting a target on your back. I'm not defending her, but I think in her mind, she was just loudly proclaiming, okay, everyone, we're not going to keep them around, right?
Yeah.
Like putting that in people's minds. But it wasn't as gentle or subtle as a Russell seed. It was just very blatant, and therefore she had a target on her back right away.
No. I do want to mention very briefly that on Patreon, at the time of you listening to this, if you're listening on YouTube, Cochran's video, I'm making Brandon Hantz's video, I'm making, trying to think, Ozzy, Coach, and Sophie. Those are the 5 videos. Some of them are already done on Patreon. Depends on when you're listening to this. But yeah, those are the ones that I'm making for the season. So it's the 4 people plus the winner.
Right.
So like kind of, it was like one of the votes where I like kind of knew exactly where it was going before we even started it. I was like, if anyone else wins, I'd be surprised. Because in the past seasons where the patrons have voted on stories, I'm like, oh, that was a wild card. Did not expect that. This season, no wild card.
Well, yeah. How do you make a video about Rick
Dawn?
Yeah, exactly.
Keith or Whitney.
It'd be like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, there's Whitney. She gets her 4 confessionals for the season because they were avoiding the fact she's cheating on her husband with Keith. And I am going to talk about this real quick. You can look it up. It's not like, I didn't like pull something like out of a deep dark dungeon. You can just Google it. Whitney apparently was secretly married going into the season. So I don't even know if the show knew she was married, but I feel like the show avoids her and Keith a lot. And it makes me feel like the show, maybe they didn't know when they were filming, but I think they knew by the time that they
did the edit. Yeah.
Did the edit. Yes.
And they could have been
actually married.
They could have been bigger characters that did more things. And then they just were like, okay, we're not going to show them as much. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Why did they almost completely ignore Whitney and Keith?
Right.
Like Whitney gets 4 confessionals and she makes it halfway through the merge.
And it seemed like Keith was Ozzy's right-hand man for a long time, which, and
worked with Jim too.
Right. So I felt like he was a big character or player in this season, but we don't know anything about it.
What's wild to me about Keith and Whitney is that they do fall in love. They do get married. So I guess she breaks off her secret marriage with whoever the other guy was that you can Google, by the way. It's just, I don't know his name. So I'm saying, if you want to know his name, you got to Google that one because I don't have it on me. Point being is that they do get married, and you see actually in episode, I believe 11, which is the recap episode for the season where they have all the scenes they didn't show in the show. There's a lot of Keith and Whitney. Like that's where all the Keith and Whitney scenes were hidden in the episode that they know most people aren't going to watch.
Right.
But when you watch her season, you usually skip that one. And then on Ponderosa, you'll see a lot of them too. So it's like anytime that they were like, it's there. It's just you had to go look for it a little bit. Of course, Ponderosa videos are on the DVDs. You can't even watch them on like Paramount Plus or whatever, which is a shame. I think they all should be on there. So, and I did put them in my Survivor South Pacific Secrets video if you don't have access to the DVDs. Point being is that they do go on the Amazing Race 25 together. And I'm like, out of all the people on Survivor, Keith and Whitney on the Amazing Race? What?
Apparently they know something we don't.
I would have rather have seen Ozzy and Coach.
Yeah. That would have been funny.
At least that would have made like more sense and would have been hilarious. Like Ozzy and Coach as an Amazing Race team would have been infinitely more entertaining than Keith and Whitney. At least that random pairing by Survivor.
Coach, we have to run up this hill.
Yeah.
Up my back.
Cochran and Ozzy would have been funny. Oh yeah, Coach is like, Coach would make everything like, oh, I chose not to.
Yeah.
Yes, I chose not to get first place this leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so that would have been way more interesting.
Back to South Pacific.
First episode of this season, Brandon is tempted by Michaela, planting the seeds for what's going to happen later in terms of that. Coach makes an alliance on night 1, and I want to point out that Mary, despite having seen the season, to be fair, like 5 or 6 years ago, goes, oh, that's not going to last.
Yes, I did.
It's only funny because it did work out, obviously.
Yeah.
But they made a point of showing it, and it really is. It's the Upolo alliance minus Edna in that during that conversation. I don't know why Edna. I mean, I know she's a little annoying. I don't know why she's treated like a second-class citizen amongst this group. Like she is just as equally valuable as the rest of them in terms of voting the whole season.
Well, sure. I understand that. I think they just pulled her in at the end because Coach liked her and they needed her at first. But it was clearly shown, even though we hardly ever hear from her either, that nobody really liked her. I mean, we hear several confessionals about how annoying she is. So like that just happens. Lots of alliances get together for similar likes or interests or whatever, and they bond over something, but they need more numbers. So they pull somebody in they know they can manipulate or maneuver or whatever and use them until they don't need them anymore. And that was the situation here, which is
just
unfortunate.
seemed mean.
Yeah.
You know? Now, to be fair, though, I do know someone in our life who is kind of like Edna in terms of annoyingness. Even though they're like, they try to be super helpful, you're like, man, but you're like so annoying at the same time. So I kind of relate, but at the same time, it's hard to be like you're a second-class citizen when your vote is done just as much for us as anyone else's.
Sure.
So anyway, I don't know. I didn't like the way they treated Edna. I'm like, she's a nice gal. She's a little annoying.
Yeah.
She's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, Coach Tribe wins immunity. There's a debate between Semhar and Cochran for who will be voted off. Semhar, who, by the way, is being lusted for by Ozzy. What a shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Are you hot with a good face and possibly a good rack? You're getting lusted for by Ozzy if you're not married. I'm actually surprised he didn't lust for Whitney, but I feel like Whitney and Keith was like early happening.
Sure.
Based on what I saw in the episode 11 where the extra scenes, like Keith and Whitney were like almost, it was pretty quick with those.
Well, Ozzy has his thing with Elise later on, so this is just.
Yeah. Semhar was just the first one he was interested in based on what we saw. So yeah. And for those wondering, since you haven't seen Ozzy since season 16, he cheated on Amanda after 16. So they broke up. I don't know if I talked about that during the Micronesia podcast.
I think we did.
I talked about during the Micronesia Ozzy and Amanda video. But okay, just in case, you're just listening to just these deep dives and you're like, what happened to Ozzy and Amanda? He cheated on her. I am so surprised. All right. So Semhar does get voted off. We get episode 2. At this point, Semhar, anytime you cut her, we're getting a poem from her, but it doesn't rhyme.
It's spoken word. It's not a poem. So spoken word doesn't have to rhyme. It just has to be said in a rhythm. Spoken word's
not a poem.
It's poetry. It's a type of poetry, but it doesn't. Not all poetry has to rhyme.
Well, her best one is definitely coming later. So Cochran says his mom told him not to use a machete without supervision. Now, this is Cochran's humor. And like Edna, I think it wears on people after a while. Like, it's funny, the self-deprecation, but I imagine Cochran's probably doing it 24/7.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes. I would not have enjoyed Cochran's conversation after some time.
For me, it's Cochran's ego. Like, you feel like by the time we get to like the merge, like, who do you think you are, Cochran?
Yeah, because at first he was kind of like after this first debate over him or Semhar, he does kind of have like this humility. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
He's the underdog.
So he gets this little bit of an underdog edit and he's fine for a bit. But then it's just like the more you see him, the more you realize, no, he probably is just that annoying and is that confident of himself because of his knowledge of Survivor. But knowledge of Survivor and being good in the game are two different things, as we've seen over and over.
Now,
and over
3
again.
people from the season are going to come back for Fans vs. Favorites 2. I want quick predictions. I know we're going to talk about them all. Dawn, how do you think she's going to do next time? Mary, by the way, has not seen Fans vs. Favorites 2, so don't get on to her if she's wrong.
I think Dawn will do fairly well for a while. So maybe in the merge.
Okay. What about Brandon Hantz?
He shouldn't go far, but I feel like people will take him because they know they can manipulate him. So again, the merge.
I mean, to be fair, as we saw with the first Fans vs. Favorites have the upper hand.
Yeah.
Fans do not know what they're dealing with. What about Cochran? Second time.
If he's learned anything at all, I feel like he'll go first. He's so scrawny. He's so egotistical. And I feel like when people watched him, they didn't like him. So I think he'll go fairly early. I
think so far we're all in terms of Fans vs. Favorites 2, you've seen, I think 8 out of the 10 people that are going to be on the next season, like you've seen Eric Reichenbach, you've seen Corinne, you've seen, we're going to go through it again. All those people, what's her name from Nicaragua? Brenda, Francesca's coming back. Philip's coming back.
Wow.
Philip Shepard. Yeah. I forget who from One World is coming back, if anybody, but I know Malcolm from Philippines is going to come back. For those who are going through these in order and don't know who Malcolm is, that's okay. When you get to 25, you'll learn who Malcolm is. All right. So I just wanted to see where you were at before we go on, because there's a lot to talk about Brandon, because Brandon in this episode reveals to Coach he is a Hantz, which was just like, I don't know. Was there ever a good time to reveal this information? Like at the very beginning?
Day one, yes. Yeah? Day one is if you're going to keep it secret the whole game. If you're going to reveal it, tell it day one. But poor Brandon, he waffles back and forth about everything this whole season. And he has no almost no backbone, it feels like. Poor guy. I feel so bad for him the whole time. But yes. And then telling Coach of all people who really hates Russell.
Yeah.
I don't.
The show knew what they were doing, putting them on the same tribe, though.
Yes.
Though they did grab eggs, but I feel like, was it a random egg draw?
It was random egg.
It was. So Coach could have been on Savai.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, still same. Eventually, I'm sure they're hoping they would play together. So I'm sure they were excited.
It's Ozzy has no experience with Russell Hantz, so that would have meant not that much. I mean, it meant a little bit, wouldn't have been the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the earlier the better. And he did it because Coach is obviously the leader of the tribe. He wants to be in good with Coach. He knows Coach is his uncle's enemy. And like, how you can't keep that hidden. And it's literally tattooed on your arm. And he looks so much like him.
On his back, it's a little hard to read what it says in terms of Hantz, but it really is the arm. It says little Hantz that gives it away. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
So for those wondering why Brandon plays the way he does in 26, I think a lot of the foundation is set this season, especially if you think about the timeline of things, because all of this happens, including the reunion, and you're like, okay, but then there's 2 seasons in between. But like, really, no. There's this whole season, and then they film it in the summer of whatever, 2012, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I believe 2012, they're filming this. Then you go home, and during the fall of 2012, everyone watches it, including Brandon Hantz's family, who then does not come to the reunion, except for Russell, so he can stroke his own ego. And then 6 months later, in the summer of 2013, it's that short of a timeline, they're filming Fans vs. Favorites too. I feel like that's important to lay the foundation of why is Brandon playing the way he is in 26 when he he played this way in 23, but it's only been 1 summer difference, which is wild to think. But yeah. All right. So he is lusting for Michaela and says she has got to go. It's like, I don't know. There's nothing the show shows that says Michaela is doing anything outside just existing.
Yeah, she's just being herself. I feel like this, again, it was like an awkward, hard thing to watch.
Yeah. Because Brandon's married at 19. I think he even has a kid already too, which is, his age blew me away when all the things he like mentioned his past. And I'm like, kid's only 19. Like, he's not even like 20 something the way he's talking. No, he's 19.
Right.
Goodness gracious.
His brain hasn't finished developing yet. It's so hard.
Not even close. No. Ozzy's tribe wins immunity because, as we mentioned earlier, this is the only season where no tribe wins back-to-back challenges ever. It's the only season where that happens. And that's in large part due to the fact there is no reward challenge. So they have less challenges to do, which again, we said this favored Boston Rob last season.
Yeah.
It favors you because you only got to do 1 challenge every 3 days instead of doing a challenge every other day, basically. Right. Like they do in most 39-day seasons. So Redemption Island season's like, you're getting a break challenge-wise. So Coach really wants Christine out. Stacey and Christine make fun of Coach at Tribal because they do not care. And Christine's voted off.
Yes.
Christine, voted off same episode as Matt, is not going to get the Matt edit that he got.
No, well, they're definitely different people. That's for sure. Like, I really like Christine. I think she's really funny. I like her honesty.
If she comes in at the merge, though, instead of losing to Ozzy, does Christine get the Matt edit? No. I
don't think so, because Matt's just like this sweet little kid, who's struggling and just trying to survive and do his best and learn and grow. Yeah. And Christine's like an older woman. She already knows who she is. She already knows what she likes. And, and she's just out there proving she's as strong as she always thought she was.
And Matt's like, I want to live for God. And Christine's like, screw Coach.
Yes.
Yep.
So like Christine has an edit. Like you get the sweet Matt edit and you get like a strong warrior woman edit, I guess. But except they don't really give her that much. They don't really focus on Christine. They don't focus on her. She could have gotten more, in my opinion, because she lasted so long in Redemption.
Is her name Ozzy, Coach, Brandon, or Cochran?
But no,
then who cares?
Right. She's not one of the main 4 people. So
only she's talking about Coach. Do they care?
Yeah.
All right. So episode 3, only 2 people per tribe go to Redemption still to watch the duel. I said this last season. This is a mistake. Survivor, having seen how 22 played out, this is one of the things I was expecting them to change.
Right, because why does it matter?
Yeah, why can't everybody go? Like, even the couple times where it was brought up last season where it's like, let's not give all the information. That was Philip, and Philip is not a normal person on Survivor. He plays like Philip.
Yeah.
Everyone else here is more normal in terms of like expected, in terms of how they like.
Right.
So it's like it never plays out. Like, just let the whole tribe go and watch.
The only thing I can think is if they're trying to limit interactions between the tribes before the merge.
No, I want that.
Yeah, I think that would be more interesting like that. But that's the only reason I can see of why they would do it.
I want smack talk. I want everybody to witness everything. It doesn't make any sense after 22. Like, they experimented with 22, fine. 23 should have been, we fix Redemption Island. But not really. This season is almost on paper a 1-for-1 copy format wise from 22. So all the twists and everything, it's like everything comes at the same exact time. It's like they didn't have any time to do 23 again. Or like to plan out a new season. It's so weird. Or they spent all their time planning out One World, which is the next season.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the only thing you think of. I'm like, why was this season almost a 1-for-1 copy with like one adjustment in terms of how Redemption Island works, and that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, it's a new location. I mean, not a new location, a returning location. So, all right, Christine, I wrote this down. Christine is baffled why Coach wanted her after she said she wanted him out to his face. I don't know, Christine. I can't imagine why Coach wanted you out.
I get that. I think she was like, I'm not a threat. I'm helpful in challenges. Why get me out first?
Yeah.
But
Christine is not.
She doesn't know Coach at all.
Yeah. So we get from Semhar at the Redemption Island Arena a spoken word poem that I wish I had all the words for, but I don't think it would be good for me to say them all anyways. So this is the paraphrase version. She gives a spoken word poem about having 10 kids plus one. I mean, she was very specific about that, with no drugs for the love of her life. She
hasn't met yet.
Yeah, she hasn't met yet. She's already like promising 11 kids. Now, Mary, before you met me,
yes,
would you have told anyone, oh, you want to have 10 kids plus one with no drugs for your future love?
No.
Okay. Well, you're not Semhar, so I guess that makes
Semhar.
sense. It was definitely her best poem of the 3 or 4 that she did this season. It's the one I remember the most.
Yeah, it's the most dramatic. You also get some eye rolls from Jeff during it, so that's always fun.
Well, is her name Ozzy, Coach, Brandon, or Cochran? Then no, who cares? That's what Jeff says. Christine wins redemption. What a shocker. Brandon tells everyone on his tribe he's a Hantz because he felt like he was lying. And again, it's really Coach who takes this the most hard. Everyone else is kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense the way he acts.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, Brandon and Michaela go face to face. Why is that my whole note?
They just had a big fight this episode, I'm sure, where Michaela's like, why do you want me out so badly? And Brandon's like, I just don't like you.
Yeah, basically. calling her like seductress. I forgot the word he used.
I don't remember him calling her anything, but you could be right.
Yeah. Coach's tribe wins immunity. Papa Bear's voted off. Episode 4. I'm sure this had been happening already, but it's really hit home here. Ozzy's cuddling with Elise. That's his lust interest for the season. At this point, there's only 3 women on his tribe. Dawn, who's married, Whitney, who's secretly married, and Elise. So
yeah.
If Ozzy had to pick somebody, he had only one choice at this point.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, sure, she's cute and she giggles at all his jokes. So there you go.
I guess he didn't really get punished in Micronesia for being with Amanda. Like, that's not why he was voted off.
No.
And Amanda got to the end.
Yeah.
But here, he doesn't realize that these people are going to be like, yeah, we're not allowing Ozzy to have a +1 this season.
I mean, but they let Whitney and Keith. But I guess Ozzy is Ozzy. Yeah.
So Brandon in episode 4 tells Edna that she is just tolerated by the Alliance. And you would think this would be Edna's hint. Hey, this alliance, I mean, it does come from Brandon. Hey, this alliance does not value me. But then later on in the season, she acts like this is news.
Well, she was really hurt by it. And so she's like, I got to step up my game. I've got to do more. I've got to help out more. I've got to give more massages or whatever,
She was walking on Coach's back.
So I think she thought she had done enough. And since it had only come from Brandon, like you said, is that real? Is that just Brandon? What's going on? So they did a great job of making her feel comfortable. But yeah, again, this is just one of those scenes that's just so cringy because poor Brandon, he's just trying to do the right thing, but it's like so awkward because it hurts Edna even more.
He's trying to do the right thing, but he doesn't know how to deliver any of his information. Right. That's really Brandon's issue.
Yes.
It's not what Brandon's doing as much as the way he's delivering the information. Like in real life, I would appreciate Brandon, the way he delivers information, but in the game of Survivor, most people are not going to appreciate that kind of delivery, unfortunately.
And like, what are Edna's options?
Yeah.
Like, that's the majority alliance. And they're, even if her and Brandon flipped with Dawn, and that's all there would be.
I think it's not, for me, it's not that Edna didn't make a move as much as it is why is she surprised?
Right.
Like this was not news. So anyways, all right. Christine beats Papa Bear because she's going to beat everybody pre-merge on Redemption Island.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn wins Ozzy's tribe the shoulder the load challenge that they will never do again because I believe even Dawn had there was injuries from this one that not within the game but like after the game, like people had like long lasting injuries, and Dawn I believe is one of them. Talks about it in her she does like a podcast interview with like I think Talking with T-Bird on Robin's podcast. Don't quote me on that. Again, this is in my secrets videos, but I haven't done those in a while, so I forget the exact source of everything.
Right.
But yes, Dawn, I believe, had injuries from this, and other people did as well. So they never do this challenge again, which is unfortunate. I feel like there's a safe way of doing this challenge. And I think you just got to max the weight. But even then, I guess if you're just sitting there holding 200 pounds, like they max it at that, like, I don't know.
It could really do damage to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all like, obviously she has great mental strength and that's amazing. Like I couldn't have done that, obviously.
Stacey was holding on her lower, like on her butt.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, it's like you come to a point where you're just mentally pushing yourself to do something that obviously is not good for your body. No. And so, yeah, I get what they don't do, but it is a really cool challenge.
It is a cool challenge. Unfortunately, they're not going to do it again. Kind of like Schmergen Brawl, people get injured during that. All right. So Stacey's voted off and Coach goes to hug her. I don't know why her.
I think he tried to
hug everybody.
Yeah, I think he tries to hug everybody who gets voted out.
No, he didn't try to hug Christine.
Okay, maybe not Christine because she wanted him out.
Okay, but I'm just saying, not gonna hug everybody.
I think he tried to hug Rick. I think he tried to hug like several people.
Well, yeah,
on their
people
way out.
from his family alliance, I expect, but he's not gonna try to hug Michaela. That's not a pre-merge.
Yeah, I don't know.
So why Stacey?
I felt like he tried to hug everybody, but I could be. Yeah, I'm just misremembering.
You're remembering the fact that he never gets a hug.
Yes,
which is more.
Yes.
She like slips past his hug. So we go to episode 5. And I know it's mostly a joke at this point, but Stacey does reveal to the Savai tribe that Coach, Albert, and Sophie are running things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dawn does relay this to the Savai tribe, and I guess they do. I mean, they kind of figured Coach, I'm sure. They do utilize this, but they don't have any power after that first vote when Cochran flips. So it really comes down to the meme. And the meme is, what's his name? What's his birth name? It ain't Coach, it's Benjamin and their children, 26, 22. Over there laughing at Benjamin's Chuck E. Cheese jokes, Halloween jokes. I ain't buying it. I can't do it verbatim, but that's like, she just goes off.
Yeah.
And she goes, no. And then, pooh, not for me. You know, so Stacey's hilarious. And that's the one everybody remembers. But if you go back and watch every scene she's actually in the first 4 episodes, Stacey's funny. Yeah. She's even funny in the secret scene she has with Coach. In episode 3 or episode 4, when he's talking to her about who they're going to vote off and she knows it's her and she's funny there too. I haven't watched that scene in forever. I will use it when I make Coach's story video, but Stacey's hilarious. And it's a shame she goes out in only episode 5. She would have been great to have make the merge, though they would have still ignored everybody who is an Ozzy Coach, Brandon or Cochran. Yeah. Unfortunately. Christine beats Stacey. Coach hears from Albert about how he was called Benjamin. And he says, even my parents have been calling me Coach since I was 18.
Which I find a little hard to believe. Like, what parent is calling your...
The parent raises Coach.
Maybe, I guess so. Like, it's just... I know his brother calls him Coach.
Yeah.
When he gets on the show later. Yeah. So maybe that's just a thing. But like, most people who are coaches for a living don't just go around like...
Most people aren't the Dragon Slayer, Mary.
It is true. Most people are not Benjamin Wade. So I get it. But he gets so mad about it. And it's like, why do you care what these 2 women who like aren't even really in the game are going to affect you?
Because they're doing it as a sign of disrespect.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, yeah, sure. It should just roll off his shoulders. But it's funny that he cares.
Yeah.
And now he's like, even my parents have been calling me Coach since I was 18.
If anyone calls me Benjamin, I will lose my lid or whatever he said. It was so funny.
This is the start, though, of the cult, in my opinion. There's an alliance, but this episode is the start of the cult because Coach prays to find the idol, and then he finds it. And like, I don't know, in the first 2 seasons with Coach, his prayers are very self-centric. They're not about, so as a Christian, for those wondering, you're not, it's not about you. It's about God.
Right.
But for Coach, everything's about him.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about Coach. He's never like, oh, everything we do is for you. No, it's like, it's all about Coach. And I know it sounds like on pay, like if you don't know what you're listening to, you're like, oh, Coach is being legit. He's not.
Yeah.
In this season, I cannot speak to Coach outside of the season and what I saw, but in the season, what we saw, Coach is not being legit. He may think he's being legit, but he's not. Albert's definitely not. Mm-hmm. And everyone else who's praying, like, I don't know anything about Rick. Rick might be. Like, Rick probably is. I have no idea. I can't speak on Rick. Sophie's just going along with it because that's what the alliance is doing.
Right.
And I have no idea about Edna. Edna and Rick, I am huge question marks.
Right.
But Coach and Albert not being legit, especially Albert, who openly says, I'll do whatever.
Right. And Brandon obviously is.
Brandon is legit.
He's trying so hard.
Yes. Now, Brandon is conflicted. Brandon has a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Brandon's the only one here legitimately trying to do the right thing. Even though he is doing the wrong thing a bunch, he is trying to do the right thing. And I think that's important because Brandon's the only one here who's like, he's getting manipulated. He's getting used because they're taking advantage of his beliefs and the fact that he is 19 and naive, you know?
Right.
I don't know how else to put it. It's just like, it's unfortunate because Brandon's legitimately trying. Like Matt in 22 was legitimately trying as well. Much better example, of course.
Yeah.
And Matt got taken advantage of, but it wasn't due to his beliefs. He's got taken advantage of because he doesn't know how to play Survivor.
And he's also young and a little naive.
Yeah, he was like 21, 22, if I recall. You know, laughing at Benjamin's Chuck E. Cheese jokes. All right, Cochran says Ozzy acts entitled and kind of lazy. But then we see Ozzy like catching a bunch of fish and bringing him back. And I'm a little conflicted because what Cochran's saying actually echoes what Penner says in Cook Islands and is the reason Ozzy doesn't win $1 million. Penner votes for Yule over Ozzy. He says, I'm not sure if I want to give $1 million to someone who's entitled and thinks that I owe them something. And Cochran, of course, and then I wonder, is Cochran just saying this because he's a super fan and he's seen all the seasons and maybe he's even rewatched them and knows that Penner said that? I don't know. But if he's not just repeating what Penner's saying because he knows Penner said it, then it's very interesting that Cochran is saying, hey, Ozzy hasn't changed in 5 years. Because it's only been 5 years since Cook Islands, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a point to both. Like, it takes a lot of energy to go out swimming and catching fish. Like, I can't imagine how much calories he expended doing that. And then he provided, like, in his mind, I'm sure he thought, hey, I provided food for the tribe. I've done my job. Now I can sit in the hammock all day and rest because I have expended all my energy. Versus like going out and getting firewood or making fire or doing laundry or whatever. Those things don't take as much energy or require, maybe
but they need to be done daily.
Right. So like I get Ozzy's side of it because he provided food, which is extremely important. And he's worked technically harder than anyone else. So it's his opportunity to rest. But you can also do that without like the attitude. I can see him having an attitude about it. Like, well, I gave you food,
Which he has. Which he just has. This season's Oscar the Arrogant for his story video, by the way. Even though he is the underdog as well, but this is Oscar the Arrogant. He's definitely his most openly arrogant this season about who he is and what he brings to the table. This is the immunity challenge. This is the episode where we have it, where they chew off meat, which we haven't seen, I believe, since season 6. Ugh. And yeah, it is gross. And everyone talks about all the injuries they get in their mouth because you can't see them, so they got to talk about them for the show for us to know. And then Cochran's like, probably I'll have oral herpes now. And they're like, what? You gave us oral herpes? He's like, no. He's like, most people have like cold sores and stuff. He's like, now we all have it. And it's just like.
Trying to be funny.
I think Cochran's just being legit.
Yes, I know. I understand. Yeah, I hate this challenge. It's so gross. I don't think I even watched. I just kind of like looked away the whole time.
Yeah, the sound effects really hammered home.
Ugh.
So this is the episode where I actually forgot to mention that Jim has been setting this up since episode 4, but Jim sets up the Elise blindside to undercut Ozzy. This is the episode where Elise gets blindsided. Elise did nothing wrong, in my opinion. It was just that Jim was like reading into what Ozzy was going to do and what he was thinking more than probably Ozzy actually thinks into his own thoughts.
Yeah.
This is Jim's only move the whole season in terms of, and then he'll call Cochran a coward later. That's his whole story.
Yeah.
Jim will be asked back for season 31 Second Chances, Mary.
Does he go back?
I cannot tell you this.
Oh, okay.
Even though you've seen the vote reveal twice now, I will not tell you whether Jim gets on season 31 Second Chances or he was one of the people on the ballot. I don't know what they saw potential, I guess, because I'm like.
Well, it wasn't a bad move. I think he just maybe was playing a bit too hard too early. And then didn't know how to make friends as easily. I don't know. Everyone seemed to like him, though. So I don't know.
There's only 3 seasons Mary hasn't seen, by the way. It's 26, 29, 31, for those wondering. So
I don't even know which ones I haven't.
So those are the ones you haven't.
I understand.
Paramount and Fans vs. Favorites 2. San Juan del Sur. You saw the first half, and then we both went, this is boring. So we stopped watching it.
Oh.
And then Second Chances you haven't seen yet, even though it's really good. That one, Second Chances is really good. I think Fans vs. Favorites has a lot of good moments. But there's a lot of like, I don't know why. How is this the fans? The favorites tribe. Like, these are the favorites, really? Like,
these are the people they got.
This is all they could get for favorites. Yeah. That's kind of like why Fans vs. Favorites 2 isn't as good. All right, so Episode 6, Ozzy tells his tribe, I'm a free agent and I have the idol. Ha ha. And it's like, okay, thanks for the free information, Ozzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thinks he's going to like own them all and it doesn't work. Yeah. And the next morning he has to apologize to them all.
Yeah. Ozzy's definitely an emotional player. He's not strategic. He's just really good at challenges.
Yeah.
And
so when you hear somebody's saying like, Ozzy's over there playing strategy, like not really. No. Ozzy's strategy is win immunities.
Yes.
And vote out whoever's annoying him.
Yes.
Basically.
That's Ozzy.
Ozzy is so, and this is back to Penner and I guess Cochran's point, so arrogant, maybe for lack of a better word, so knowing of himself. He thinks that no matter who he sits next to at the end, he wins. Mm-hmm. And maybe he's right. Maybe. I cannot say for certain. But I feel like Ozzy does have a good chance against most people. But Ozzy, in his own mind, is anybody. I don't care. Final three. Right. As long as I'm there, I'm winning. Now, he did lose to Yule, but again, Yule's like an exceptional player. Yes. He lost by 1 vote. So I kind of get why Ozzy thinks that. Like, I only lost to Yule, and Yule is an amazing winner. Yeah. Yule's not some scrub winner, Right. So yeah, I agree. I kind of get it. He only lost by 1 vote, and everybody loves Ozzy.
That's the thing about Ozzy is like, he has a reason to be arrogant at times. It's still annoying that he's arrogant. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Brandon is just like, most of Brandon's content's pre-merge, believe it or not, despite how much he's featured. It seems actually most of the stuff's pre-merge. Yeah. He says, vote me out if we're going to be disloyal, because people are talking about voting off Edna instead of Michaela. And he's like, no, we're voting off Michaela. That's what we said we're going to do. Right. Like, this is Brandon's part of the game. That's just like, you gotta be flexible. Like, why? Why do we have to vote off Michaela? Did we promise Michaela, hey, we're going to vote you off next? No, it's that they've promised Edna, I guess.
Yeah. And it was a loose part of their alliance of 5. It was alliance of 5 plus Edna.
Yeah, plus Edna.
So, and I think that they had a good reason they wanted to get her off because she was weaker than Michaela, which makes sense.
But at the same time, I think it was the right decision to keep Edna because she is loyal.
She is loyal.
She's loyal, and like frankly, it's what you need going into what's going to be a tight merge. Right. We go to episode 7. Christine beats Michaela. Ozzy tells Cochran his plan. He says, "I have an idea." He's like, "Maybe, and this is only if we lose. You send me to redemption." And I get us back in the game, because they don't know for sure. Because let's say at the moment they lose, they don't want to send somebody and then that person loses and like maybe Christine joins them. Maybe, so maybe it's a 6-6 tie. Maybe. Yeah. It's like, at least let's take a good shot at this of me knocking out Christine.
This is one of my favorite parts of the season, because I do think for all his arrogance, like, this is part of his arrogance. It is part of his arrogance. I get it. He thinks he's the best and he can beat her. But the thing is, he is the best and he can beat her. So this was the smartest move for the tribe. I really do think it was.
Only if they lost immunity. Yeah. And they do.
Right.
And they
will. Which they do.
Unfortunately, because this is the Jack and Jill reward. We cannot get both movie rewards. The first one's during the double quit of Nyanka and Purple Kelly in Nicaragua. So you can't even get a clean episode there. Like, what was that one? That one was Gulliver's Travels. They were just hoping for a good Survivor episode where everyone got to talk about how amazing the movie is. Instead, we got all this drama about 2 people quitting. And then this episode, the cult's just like fully formed, man. Like doing these forced prayers at the challenges. And
this is the episode where Brandon keeps trying to find the idol.
They trick Brandon.
And so they say, oh yeah, we'll help look for the idol for you.
Well, let's pray for it.
I think, yeah. Yes.
But it's a garbage prayer. Yes. Again, that's why I mean Coach is not legit. This is the most Coach is not legit. And this is like I can stand behind it because of this scene. Right. Like, this is not legit. Like, you were not praying to God. You were praying as a charade. It's a charade. Yeah. This is a charade. And then Brandon is unfortunately being tricked. So yeah, they proceed to trick Brandon. They find the idol, make him feel really good. And I wonder if this comes into play in the final vote, because when you and I watched it, Mary, without looking at the wiki, because it didn't show who voted for everybody, at least not that we saw, Brandon doesn't vote for Coach. I thought he did. He does not. Brandon votes for Sophie. And I wonder if this is a deciding factor.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, because if he found out that he's been lying to him the whole time, then yeah. Makes sense.
Even though he's close to Coach the whole season, it's like, I'm not voting for Coach. Coach just lied to me and took advantage of, my beliefs. Now, Brandon actually cool. He's like, I forgive him and stuff, but at the same time, I get it. Right. I wouldn't vote for Coach either. Like, this is too personal. There's strategy, and then there's a line, and it's being crossed. Yes. There's definitely a line being crossed. So, Coach prays during the challenge for the win. Then they win, and they force everyone to pray again. It's like a whole and then we can't even get Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill. Like, I mean, not that it's good. I watched it. It was horrible. I watched it for free and I thought I wasted my time in the theater because they had a free theater where I was living. Long story short. It's not a very good movie for those wondering. Anyways.
Well, I'm sure when you're
Jack
on
and Jill was wanting
Survivor,
a good promotion and they couldn't, the episode
couldn't
where
get
all
it.
this religious manipulations happening, like fake religious manipulation. I don't know what to call it. So anyways, yeah. So long story short, we go back to camp and they're like, oh, Cochran, you should go to Redemption and redeem yourself. And Cochran's like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
because he
do a
messed
little
up
dance
really bad in the
because the Ozzy tribe loses immunity and it is Cochran's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what am I supposed to do a little dance? And then Ozzy's like, how about you just go in there and you tell Christine off? And then she'll be like, whoa, I guess I can't be Cochran. And Cochran's like, what am I supposed to do? Go in there and tell her, hey, you little stupid. And he calls her the B word in the joke and everybody laughs. And it's like, yeah.
And then Ozzy says, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Because that's Ozzy. Ozzy's like, I would do that. Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Cochran definitely drops the calling someone a stupid little B a couple times in the pre-merge. And both times it is funny. He calls Ozzy that. And it's funny because Ozzy's pouting over on after he got blindsided with the Elise thing. And then he does it about Christine. He's like, I'm not sure if this is going to work coming out of my mouth. Because, Cochran's not intimidating.
Yeah.
But they're really trying to pump him up like, oh, you're going to get him. Keith's
just
like,
believe you can do
fight
it.
your own battles. Don't let us do it for you.
Yeah,
and like, even after Ozzy tells everyone the next morning, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Keith's still like getting on to Cochran. I'm like, dude, you think Cochran's going to change Ozzy's mind?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, Keith. Yeah. And it's just like all part of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a big part of what's going to happen. So Ozzy tells Jeff he had a dream. And I'm like, is he cowboy? Were there credit cards involved? You remember that?
Yes, I do. He didn't really talk about the dream that much, but yeah, he had a dream and he felt like he needed to go to Redemption and be the champion, basically.
Yeah, whatever, Ozzy. We know the reality.
Yeah.
That's fine. So Ozzy gets happily voted off.
Yeah, so only time you ever see someone like joyfully happy that they're voted off.
I mean, he gets voted off 2 more times this season, but it's definitely not the same.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, oh, you fell into my master plan. He's just making jokes.
Yeah.
So Ozzy this season, I will say, it's one thing he's going for him. Reason why you root for him, if you do root for him, is because he doesn't take things personally. This is his 3rd time playing.
Yeah.
He already got burned hard before. He's lost the game. Like, Ozzy's experienced disappointment. Yeah. He's okay. Like, well, even when Cochran flips, the most he does is he goes like, Cochran's a wiener. Yeah. Cochran ruined his whole game, and all he can do is just call Cochran a wiener in a confessional. Like, Ozzy is not. Everyone else is super ticked at Cochran. This is their only time playing, but for Ozzy, he's like, yeah, okay.
It's true.
Of course, he also knows he has the Redemption Island to fall back on.
That is true.
Yep. Part of the arrogance.
It's a little safety net there.
With no Redemption Island, I don't know if Ozzy reacts exactly the same every time. So Cochran's try makes him feel guilty after Ozzy's already voted off again. This is like Keith's 3rd time, because it was Keith specifically who was like, oh, I can't believe you let Ozzy fight your battles for you. It's like, shut up, dude. Ozzy wanted to do it. Yeah. Cochran didn't present the idea, and then Ozzy went, oh, I guess if you guys really want.
Right.
No, Ozzy presented the idea, and Ozzy said, I'm going to do it. Whatever. Anyways, so we go to the Redemption Island duel, and the other tribe's like, Ozzy's here. Oh. Like, they get it immediately. Yeah. And Ozzy's like, then like, Cochran played an idol, and I know someone else knew about it, and it's just like, they're all like, and I'm going to come back. I'm not working with you guys. And it's like the worst acting ever. And it's a horrible. And he's like, for revenge, basically. Yeah. I'm like, all right, Ozzy. You know, the way to go about this, not that I think it would have been better, not that I'm not sure they would have bought it, is if you just said, I'm ticked. Cochran played his idol to save himself because he knew he was going last night. So I'm here. Yeah. Like, that's the only thing.
Short and simple.
And make it very believable. Because that was their plan, is Cochran's going to be a double agent going into the merge. So set him up perfectly. And he tries to, but he just like goes way overboard with his information.
Yeah.
Like, keep it cool. Just say Cochran played his idol and screwed me over. And here I am. And when I come back, screw Cochran.
Not that these people know, but like when Ozzy is legitimately mad, he just like yells and punches something. He doesn't like spout off words.
Ozzy's not a talker.
Yeah. So he could have just been like, I don't want to talk about it or whatever. Like, he could have said almost nothing and been more believable than his speech.
Well, really, he just needed to say Cochran idoled me out. Screw Cochran.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think he even had to say that. That could have been something that Cochran could have said later on, like, or whatever. Like, I'm just saying, the less said from Ozzy, the better, because he is not a good actor. Yeah, but
no.
Anyways, I was still rooting for him.
He does beat Christine. It's not even close. Coach and Albert read through the lies. Like, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Coach offers Cochran to flip in a scene that I think definitely, I wish this is I don't always think everything needs more time. I believe if there's ever, not every season needs longer episodes. Let's put it that way. But I believe the premiere, merge, and finale, the finale usually gets its time. The premiere merge always needs 90 minutes, 2 hours might be too long, because a lot is happening in most of these merges, and this is one of them. So I say this because you see Coach talk to Cochran in this one scene, and he's like, Cochran, I know how it feels to be picked on, to be like intellectually smarter than other people, really feeding into Cochran's ego, by the way. Good on Coach. And he's like, here's the line in the sand, come over and cross it, because we're not wavering. Like, we are going to be 6 strong, and we're going to go to rocks. And that's a crappy way to end your game. But if you want to end your game on rocks, go for it. And he convinces Cochran. But what's not seen, and that is in the recap episode, is there's like 2 or 3 more scenes where Coach is with Cochran and they're like being BFFs.
Yeah.
Like, just Coach and Cochran. And so there's a lot more going on here that you just don't get to see in terms of like Coach flipping Cochran.
Right.
Like, this is an important scene, sure, but it's almost like just kind of comes out of left field.
Well, at the same time, like, you had to have seen it coming with how Cochran's tribe treated him. Like, they really did from the beginning call him weak, say he should fight his own battles.
Heath was still harassing him.
Talking about how annoying he was. Like, and like they really, really did not treat him well. So like, it didn't take that much, in my opinion.
Cochran's like, I'm going to put my game into my own hands and make a move.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have enough information.
Yes.
Like JT in Heroes vs. Villains, he does not have enough information. JT gave Russell the idol, assuming things. Cochran's flipping to the Upolu tribe, assuming they're going to let him go, like, what, till final I don't know what he was thinking, really. How far do you think he was going with this alliance?
I think he thought he had a final 3 with Coach.
Yeah. Well, so did everyone.
Right, exactly.
Good on Coach, I guess. So, let's be long story short. Ozzy and Dawn win immunity, and Upolu's going to vote 6 strong. So, according to the rules that we know about, let's talk about the only rock draw that's ever happened is in season 4. Now, in season 4, when the rock draw happened, everyone, even the people who got voted for, had to draw rocks. The only person who didn't draw rocks was the one who had immunity around their neck. So it was, I believe, a 3-way rock draw at the Final 4, which is insane that they did it at the Final 4. This is before they did fire making. And then now, that's all these people know. I want to point out, that's all these people know. But we have the knowledge of what's going to happen in season 27 when the next rock draw is actually going to happen. And I'm not going to spoil anything for those who are going chronologically. There will be a rock draw in season 27. And the rules there will be, if you have immunity, you're good. If you have an idol played for you, you're good. If you get voted for, you do not have to draw rocks. Like, you don't have to be part of the redraw.
Yeah.
Or as far as the, like, what you're voted for, you're one of the people, like, it's basically punching those who can't make a decision. Because clearly you don't want to go.
Right.
Anyway, so that's how the rules work. So it's hard to know if that's how they're going to do it this season. So there's 2 ways of looking at how the numbers should play out here. On one hand, Savai has 2 people with necklaces around their neck, and one person is getting an idol played for them, Whitney. That's what Ozzy said is going to happen. That's 3 out of 6 people who are safe.
Right.
Savai has nobody safe.
Right.
By season 4 rules. If we go by season 27 rules, which they don't know about, and I can't knock them for this, Savai has 5 people eligible to be voted off because one person's going to have votes on them, which I believe is Rick. And then Savai will have only 2 people eligible, which will be Cochran and Jim. So I just want to point that out. So that's how this could have gone if Cochran doesn't flip. However, I believe the right move for Savai, this is all 2020, was to, instead of playing the idol for Whitney, play it for Cochran. Based on what we know. Unless Whitney's like, I'm not drawing rocks, let's play the idol for me, which we didn't see if that was said. If Ozzy plays the idol for Cochran, Cochran does not flip because he has his motivation supposedly was, I want to put the game in my own hands, I don't want to end on a rock draw. Okay, well, if Cochran had the idol played for him, his game wouldn't have ended at all for any reason.
Sure, but again, that's hindsight because Ozzy asked Cochran like several times, hey,
I know.
Are you ready? Are you going to go to the rock draw? And Cochran's like, yeah, I'll do it.
You're going to flip Cochran, somebody says. He's like, what? No, you want me to? No.
So again, this is all back to how they've been treating Cochran. I don't think Ozzy, well, number one, I don't think he was willing to give the idol to anybody except his people who were actually in his 4 alliance or whatever.
Yeah.
But also, like, he just didn't respect Cochran enough to give it to him. And then he didn't realize how he was treating him would have made him flip anyways. Like, if I'm Cochran and I get that idol, but my tribe's still treating me like crap and the other tribes promised me final 3 or whatever, why not?
This is all 2020, by the way. I'm aware. Cochran either had a 1 in 7 chance to go home on a rock draw or a 1 in 9, depending on how the numbers were going to be. But overall, the Savai group had the advantage.
Yes.
So when Jim at Tribal says there's a 0% chance of anybody flipping, I know they put that in there because it's about to happen. But like, I get Jim's mindset. Like, there's no reason. Our group has the advantage.
Yes.
Like, the odds are in our favor of this rock draw going our way.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim's life was on the line. So when he calls Cochran a coward, I'm like, fair. I'm like, you put your butt on the line. Like, you were willing to do it. It wasn't like Jim had an idol around his neck.
Right.
You know, Jim was just as eligible as Cochran. So Cochran flips on the revote, sends home Keith, whatever. I don't care about Keith. But it does screw the entire Savai tribe. And at that moment, that's when Cochran's story flips from underdog hero to villain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like everything after that becomes Cochran's villain. Cochran makes a joke. We cut somebody else undercutting him. Like, that doesn't happen in the pre-merge. I mean, people talk about Cochran's like a little annoying. Like, oh, he's funny. He's a cool kid. Stuff like that. But post-merge, it's Cochran makes a joke. Cochran gets undercut. Cochran does something. Cochran gets undercut. Cochran's stupid. Cochran's playing a great third place game. Everything about Cochran becomes negative all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's because of this flip. That's why I said I think the story was favoring Savai.
Yeah, I agree. Also, no, I don't think the show wants to promote flippers either. Like,
which is weird. They should.
They would have rather gone to rock draws. It's more dramatic.
Well, I would have loved to see this rock draw happen. I wish there was a theoretical way to like time travel and see what would have happened on the rock draw.
And
I know
a different,
out of all the things to time travel for.
A different multiverse.
No, not multiverse. Just like, I just wish I would love to know what the result of the rock draw would have been,
Yeah.
We'd love to have known. Like, what would have happened if Cochran just not flipped? What would the rock draw have been? Would they have gone by season 27 rules? Would they have gone by season 4 rules? I don't know. I don't know when they decided to change the rules.
Yeah, I don't know.
Such a wide gap. So, yeah, Jim calls him a coward, and Brandon's like, that's what you get. But like, again, Brandon doesn't have all the information. Cochran is being a coward. I agree. In my opinion, I think Cochran's being a coward. Whitney is so mad. He's like, it's not personal. I didn't do this against you guys. And Whitney's like, that's a lie. Like, this is very personal. True. He did this because Savai was treating him like garbage.
Yes, he knew he was on the bottom alliance of Savai. He knew that they didn't care about him. So why not work with people who seemingly care about you and will take you farther in the game? Like, to me, it makes sense. To me, that's good strategy.
Cochran screwed up here. He should not have flipped. He should have.
He didn't know that, Upolu was going to lie and not take him.
I'm not talking about Upolu. Even then, okay? Even then with Upolu lying or whatever. Cochran played this wrong. You let the rock draw happen because you burn 5 no matter what, you've just burned 5 jury members. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You just burned half the people on the island who are likely all to be jury members with the way you're playing. Cochran should have stuck with the rock draw, saw what happened, and then we move on. And so they either win the rock draw or they lose. Either way, let's assume Cochran doesn't go. Let's assume they win. Great. Savai has the numbers. Ozzy, as we all know, is arrogant. He's going to feel like I have all the power now and I don't have to really do anything. Perfect. Now you can go pick up Upolu members and make flips that you need, like make vote outs you need to do. Ozzy's not going to win every immunity challenge. You can get out Ozzy.
Yeah, but this is like one of the only seasons I said that doesn't work because Upolu is such a cult tight group.
But if Upolu lost the rock draw, they're not going to be that tight. I don't know who they lose in the rock draw. They could have lost Coach, for example. You don't know who they're going to lose. They could lose Albert. They could lose Sophie. They could lose Brandon. They're going to lose somebody.
Well, we could talk about what ifs
what
day.
I'm saying is that I think the best move for Cochran here was to go with the rock draw. Hopefully they win. If win or lose, if they lose, whatever. Okay, well at least you can. Upolu's just gonna wipe you all out, and maybe Cochran's the last one they wipe out. I don't know. Who cares at this point? But if Savai wins the rock draw, I think the best move is to pick up Upolu members and let's make a move. But you don't do it to give Upolu the advantage. You do it when Upolu's still down.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to get out Ozzy. That's really it.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy, I think, would have voted for Cochran at the end in the right situation. And I think Dawn votes for Cochran in the right situation at the end too. I think there's only 2 people. I don't think Whitney, Keith, Jim vote for Cochran at the end.
Yeah. If he was the only Savai member left, maybe. But even then,
3.
Yeah.
I just don't see them voting for him. So Don and Ozzy, he needs to have on the jury.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I know it's all a bunch of what ifs, but whatever. All right, so Jim wins immunity, and they play like heroic music when he's like, Ozzy, I'm gonna give you my necklace, and make a pitch to the other tribe and be like, 10 of us here are good people, and one of us is a flipper, and we should get off the flip. It's like something like that.
Yeah.
And heroic music plays. Ozzy looks at a rainbow because they want you to
never
root for
stop
this idea.
fighting. Yeah.
He'll never stop fighting. Jim doesn't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a bunch of talk. He doesn't do it. Ozzy gets voted off.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon does at one point say, though, how many chances do you get to get off Ozzy? And Cochran's like, 2, apparently. And Brandon's like, takes him a minute. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right.
True.
So episode 9's a double vote off. So Jeff offers food to everyone, and everyone to sit out of the challenge, and everyone sits out except for Jim, Dawn, and Whitney. So Cochran's sitting out with all of Upolu.
Yes.
And it's just like part of the bad look.
Yeah.
It's just all the villain at it now.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes them all look bad. And of course, Coach is like, oh man, I really want to participate in the challenge, but I gotta stick with the alliance. And Jeff's like, then just sit out. I mean, just compete. If you want to compete, Coach, just compete. And then when Coach is sitting over there eating muffins or whatever, Jeff's like, do you really wish you were in the challenge now? And Coach starts laughing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Coach's facade gets broken down for once.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah, because if you actually want to compete, then what is this? Like, your alliance is going to be okay with you. I think one of them should have competed because obviously they want to get, Savai out. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Only
who
one
went
can
next.
win.
Yeah.
There's 2 other people eligible.
That's true. And they really wanted to eat.
And Dawn is sucking up. She is, she's like, I want to be up here as long as possible. I think we're one tribe. Like, come on, Dawn.
Yeah.
Like, is this really the strategy? I think we're one tribe. I don't see 2 separate tribes at all. Dawn, are you blind? I know she's just saying that, like hoping it gives her goodwill, but
it doesn't work.
I know. At this point, I'm wondering, why is there an idol on this merge beach? Nobody ever finds one. Is there one? Because it got, like, the one from Savai got played. Coach is still hanging on to the Upolu idol.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there should be one on the merge beach. I know.
You would think.
You'd think there'd be one on this merge beach.
I bet
in Samoa, one got played, one get replanted.
I bet the cult kept anyone from looking for it because they had one and they didn't want anyone else to find one. So they tried to keep people busy.
That shouldn't be stopping Dawn, Whitney, and Jim.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if everybody was looking, I'm sure people were looking. No, nothing was found.
Yeah.
But I want to know if there was even an idol to begin with. Also, the final jury is going to be 9 people and there's 3 people eligible to win. What happens if there's a tie vote, 3-3? Dalton Ross has asked Jeff, and Jeff will not answer the question, which tells me
I'm sure there isn't a plan.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have maybe a couple plans, but like, it's so unlikely to happen.
But Jeff didn't answer. Jeff will not answer the question, and we're going to let season 40. We're going on season 47 now, time of recording.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, Jeff, like, you're never going to do this again. Why can't you just answer the question? I think it's because he either A, doesn't know, or B, there wasn't a plan.
Sure.
But
probably wasn't a plan.
It's likely A.
Yeah.
I think he just doesn't know what they were going to do.
Maybe.
I'm sure there was a plan. Jeff hasn't thought about it in 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Jim says Cochran's playing a great 3rd place game, gets voted off. He says Upolu. This is the first time we hear the word cult used.
Yeah.
But it will get used quite a few times after this. Jim says Upolu is a cult with Coach as the leader. And basically at this point, Coach is going to win the million.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the Ponderosa videos, it is very apparent. Everyone is saying we are rooting for Ozzy, but we think Coach is going to go to the end and win, which is wild considering they don't all vote for Coach. So it makes you wonder, like, at what point do they turn on Coach? Because on Ponderosa, they're like, Coach is going to win.
Honestly, I feel like, Sophie had a really great final tribal. We can talk about that then.
Just exposes all of his lies.
I think the lie about the idol was one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
But.
Also calling him a little girl, and he doesn't even refute it.
Yeah.
He was my little girl. So Cochran calls Coach the cult leader and says, am I going to be voted off in 7th? And Coach says, I will do my best to make sure that doesn't happen, which is
a lie.
Yeah. Because then later, I don't know if it's this episode or what, who cares? It's episode 12, I think. When him and Cochran are on the massage reward that Albert gave Cochran because Cochran lied about when his birthday was.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, pre-merge Cochran, that would have been a funny joke.
Yeah.
It would have been hyped up as funny. It was just kind of presented and it happened, and it was like, yep, jerk.
Yeah.
For lying.
Basically.
Anyway, so when they're on the massage reward, Coach is like, I would lay my life down for you, Cochran. You will not go out of this game. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you saying this?
Yeah.
It's like Russell Hantz. Why? Nobody's asking you to say this.
Don't promise big things that you're not gonna.
Yeah, and then like go out of your way and like really hammer it home.
Yeah.
Like nobody's asking you out during the massage about that. So, all right. Ozzy beats Keith and Jim on Redemption. Keith and Jim go to Ponderosa. This is the one thing I like that they changed is that just the first place person stays on Redemption. That would have killed Matt's story because he kept getting second place post merge on season 22, but we're not retroactively changing anything. I do like that how now everyone's gone. It's just Ozzy and Redemption. And we get scenes on Redemption that we weren't, I didn't even know what Redemption looked like in the pre-merge. Post-merge, I got a great idea because Ozzy's on top of trees shouting like Tarzan.
Yeah.
He's underwater. I have a really good idea of what Redemption looks like now, but preseason, Christine, I think one time was holding a coconut, drinking something, and I'm like, oh, and that was it. I was like the only time I remember Redemption.
Otherwise, it's just like at night, the shot of the new person coming in, basically.
Coming in the shelter. Yeah. Just that shot. That's the only time you ever see Redemption. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, I put the show was uninterested in Redemption Island until Ozzy got there. Cochran is now considering to work with Dawn and Whitney only because he found out he's going to go off in 7th. Basically, he's confirmed. He knows this is happening.
And how is that going to help him?
Yeah, great job. Now it's 6 versus 3, idiot. Should have thought of this a few votes ago. Like do the flip and then be like, all right, what can we? No, too late. All right, so Sophie wins immunity. Cochran says Survivor is about big moves. He's talking in reference to his flip.
Yes.
And I think this is the first time in the history of the show anybody says Survivor is about big moves. I cannot recall in the first 22 seasons anyone saying it. But if by big moves he means dumb moves, then he's correct. Survivor is about a lot of dumb moves happening. But is Survivor about big moves? I mean, the TV show is, but are winning games based on big moves? Because I don't think they are. In the first 22 seasons, it's really not about big moves winning. But I feel like I just want to say this because this is like the seed of what's going to happen later. Because Jeff will then, I don't know when it starts. I want to say in the 30s, Jeff really like goes on and on and on and on. How big moves, you got to make big moves in this game. He kind of slows that down in the new era of Survivor, the budget era, whatever you want to call it. But during like I think late 20s, maybe during the 30s, I wonder if Cochran planted the seed for Jeff spouting off about big moves all the time.
I don't know, maybe just because it's been so ingrained in me in all the seasons I've watched. I feel like that can't be the first time somebody said it, but you would know better than me.
You didn't start watching Survivor until season 33.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I watched all these seasons where it was already being talked about, I'm sure. I don't know. It just feels like any season.
Nope.
You have people, maybe they don't say it, but the goal is to get the bigger threats out and to, I don't know, make big moves. Maybe you're not saying that, but.
Well, getting a big threats are sure. That's always been a part of Survivor. But the phrase Survivor is about big moves is not uttered until it comes out of Cochran's mouth. And then Jeff will go on to repeat it ad nauseum. Starting, I'll try to remember as we go through the seasons when Jeff starts going on about this. But it's like Cochran planted the seed here. And it's like, Survivor is not about big moves. But for the TV show, I get why they would want that to be the truth.
Yeah.
So, all right. Albert wants to go out Edna. Coach says, no. We're not getting Edna. He also says playing game for yourself is a big mistake. Like, Coach talking about?
Who knows what he's ever talking about?
Oh, also, really? Sophie wins immunity and Jeff's like, at Tribal, we're going to do a twist. And I'm like, yeah, it's season 22 all over again. So the twist can be a double vote off with an immunity challenge in between. So sure enough, that's what happens. Dawn gets voted off. Sophie wins immunity, and Wendy's voted off. And it's both seasons it happens. This episode, this double vote off, is the end of an alliance. It's the end of a tribe. This is the end of the Savai tribe. Mm-hmm. Last season was the end of the Zapatera tribe. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are the odds that they plan this out to be, let's get rid of this tribe as fast as possible so we can move on? I don't know, but they do it both times.
Well, and I wonder, because it's so easy to set up. I wonder if that's like always a backup in case things are just going slowly and they need things to move on.
I don't know. I think it's just, I think it was already planned because they have 18 people and they have redemption. So they got a person coming back twice. So in reality, it's like 20 people have to be voted off.
Sure.
Even though it's not actually 20, but you get the idea. It's 20 people who need to be playing the game. Mm-hmm. So they had to make a double vote off at some point and they hadn't done it until now.
Makes sense.
You know, in past seasons when they had 20, they had double vote offs.
But you're right. It's just like ironic that it happened both seasons.
At the end of an alliance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So episode 11 is a recap. Very quickly, I want to mention that Cochran from Papa Bear learns how to flirt, where Papa Bear tells Cochran, use soft eyes. Cochran's like trying to flirt with Whitney. By flirt with Whitney, I mean Whitney is a part of the training. She's not. He's trying to flirt with Elise, but he's doing it on Whitney. And Papa Bear's like, use soft eyes. Tell her you really like her earrings and you want to know where she got them from. And Whitney tells Cochran when Papa Bear walks away, he's like, if you flirt with a girl like that, they're going to think you're gay. So I thought it was kind of funny. And then the next scene we get with Cochran and Elise is he tells her the story about how when he was in kindergarten, which she says she never went to kindergarten. I have questions, but they're never going to get answered. She didn't go to kindergarten. But anyways.
I didn't go to kindergarten.
Maybe she was homeschooled too?
Yeah,
okay.
That's possible.
Well, she is Native American, so I thought maybe it was like, I don't know.
Okay.
I thought, because you mentioned that a few times, I don't know if that was like a thing for Native Americans to not do kindergarten. I don't know. I have no idea. Point being is that Cochran says, okay, in kindergarten, I needed to go take a poop, but I knew if I went in the bathroom, everyone would smell it in my kindergarten class. So instead, I just did it in my pants and my little khaki shorts. And then the teacher got wise and started going around sniffing everybody's shorts until she hit jackpot on me.
Oh my gosh.
and he says he was just sitting there and squishing around in his khaki shorts and everything. And Elise is like, he's such a weird kid. And I'm like, so Cochran talked to Papa Bear about how to flirt and then decides, aha, I got it. I'll tell Elise the time I pooped in kindergarten.
He's such an awkward duck. Yeah, I don't think you quite got the lesson there.
Would that have worked on you when you were single?
No.
Okay, good to know. Episode 12, Cochran tries to go Polo into saving him over Edna. He's like, it's my birthday. I don't want to be here on my birthday.
And I did so much for you guys as a tribe. I put my life on the line. I deserve to stay another night.
And like from Cochran's perspective, I get why he thinks that, but everyone else there did all the same voting Cochran did, and it's just as equally as valuable.
Yeah, they were all together from the beginning. Yeah. I don't get that logic, but.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But Cochran's just really, this is what he thinks of himself. He thinks
he deserves to be there.
He, like Ozzy's got a little arrogance. Ozzy beats Dawn and Whitney. They're gone. Yada, yada. Bye, bye. The Albert being lazy story begins here. This is the episode because I remember it being a thing, but it doesn't start until episode 12, even though he was probably doing it all season. But again, is his name Ozzy, Brandon, Coach, or Cochran?
No.
So who cares? Albert being lazy story begins with him accidentally putting out the fire. And he just like, I don't know. I forgot how he does it. He just like kind of puts water on it.
He was trying to help Edna with the laundry.
Yeah.
And like tipped over the bucket of water.
So Edna is surprised learning she's low on the totem pole. And this is what I was talking about earlier. It's like, Edna, how are you surprised to learn this?
Yeah.
This shouldn't be a surprise. This should be like, oh crap, Brandon was right. But no, she's like, this is like news to her.
Yeah, I don't like, it's so weird. And again, good job on Coach that the 5 all feel equally safe.
Yeah, none of them want to turn.
Yeah. So again, like somebody is doing a great job of just making sure everyone feels good. And it's Coach because he's making alliances, top 2, top 3 alliances with each one of them. So they all believe it, which turns out to bite him in the butt later, I think. But yeah, good job on him. I think Edna.
Having everyone feel safe is one thing. I think the way Coach goes about it is why he gets burned, because it's not just everyone feels safe. It's everyone feels safe. And it's a family. We're a family. We're super close. We love each other. You know, it's like this whole, it's an emotional aspect that he brought into it. He didn't need to do.
Yeah.
Along with the praying together all the time. Because they pray, there's like shots that the show doesn't really focus on, but they'll like show them praying together for like 2 seconds just to show that's happening. Because the show doesn't have time to linger on every single prayer.
Oh yeah.
But it's happening.
Yeah. Because at one time, Brandon's like, hey guys, you ready for the morning prayer?
Yeah.
And this is when Edna's like, well, I'm not part of the group, so I'm just leaving.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. Like it just happens. And I'm sure they do an evening one. I'm sure they do one, one all the time. And it's just not shown every time, but it's the fact that it is happening all the time. And that's the emotional aspect Coach has brought into it. But he's just using it to manipulate them.
Yep.
And it's like, sure, if you want to get to the end, great. But if you want to win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a 6-3 vote at the end, if I recall. I know you have the wiki in front of you, but I believe it's 6-3 Sophie wins.
Yes, it's 6-3.
Yeah. So it's not like Coach was too far off. Like, had he just figured out how to not emotionally burn all these people, he could have won. And owned his game at the end. He didn't own his game.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Cochran gets voted off. I mean, we're going to cut this short. Cochran tries to guilt the tribe for the whole episode, basically. And they're like, yeah, no. And then they vote him off.
Yep.
So Cochran's gone. He goes to redemption. Cochran's like, he's like, okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to set this up. Cochran in the very beginning of the season says, I'm a super fan. I wrote an award-winning essay.
Yes.
I go to Harvard and I wrote an award-winning essay about survivor juries.
Mm-hmm.
Cochran won an award for understanding survivor juries. I assume that's what his paper was. He comes to redemption. Ozzy talks to him about hey, like you want to get back to Polo, vote for me at the end. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, Ozzy's being arrogant, assuming he's going to be at the end.
Right.
No, duh.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about Ozzy. We're talking about Cochran.
Right.
Cochran says, well, like, is this like, did he write an award-winning essay about survivor juries or not? Because a 101 is like, yeah, I'll vote for you at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. So
always. because
then if you happen to be there and you want that person to vote for you, especially Ozzy, who is emotional, and if he commits to something, he'll do it.
Right.
Yeah. Ozzy doesn't actually flip ever. I don't recall in his first 3 seasons, Ozzy like being close to someone then flipping on them or saying something to somebody and flipping on them. I don't remember his time. He's going to come back again for Game Changers. I don't remember what he does that season, but I know in these 3 seasons, like Ozzy says something and he just does it. That's one thing you can like about Ozzy. Like, whether you agree with him or not, what he says he's going to do, he's going to do. He's not going to flip on his group.
Except for being a lone agent and using his idol for himself or whatever.
He did apologize next morning for that.
Yes, I know.
Ozzy's an emotional player, but he's a predictable player in that sense. So anyways, Cochran will not commit to voting for Ozzy. And Cochran's like, what if I beat you at the challenge? And then cuts to Ozzy going, Cochran doesn't really stand a chance.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you have a chance. And then cut to confessional. He doesn't have a chance.
Yeah. Though the challenge is pretty close.
It is very close.
It is pretty close. It is a challenge not in Ozzy's wheelhouse. Like, it was just like, it was not a physical challenge. Like, it was to get the balls.
Yeah.
Or to do the challenge. But once they do the table maze with the string pulls or whatever they're called, yeah, then it becomes equal playing ground. So Cochran gets pretty close, but no, Ozzy pulls it off. Thank goodness. I would not have wanted Cochran to win because he would just lost. What would have happened is Cochran beats Ozzy. Cochran competes against Brandon, loses to Brandon. Brandon gets back in the game and gets wool pulled over his eyes again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to see that.
Right.
The day after, he'd be like, I forgive you guys for voting me off and stealing my idol from me. I forgive you. And then they would just vote him off again. That's what would have happened.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, Brandon wins out on immunities is in the final 3. But I don't think he wins.
No. He doesn't.
I struggle because I feel like Brandon could win. I feel like he would be liked. But at the same time, like, if you watch this 19-year-old kid, even though you like him, get the wool pulled over his eyes by people in the game and calls them like his best friends in life. It's like, what is he gonna do with $1 million? Like, is somebody gonna trick him? You know what I mean? Like, ugh.
I don't think anyone would have given Brandon the $1 million. I honestly thought, you asked me like sometime pre-merge who I thought the final 3 was, and I thought Brandon was one of them because there's no way anyone would vote for him. It just seems so obvious. But anyways,
if Survivor was let's vote for a winner and no money prize was attached, I would vote for Brandon. It depends on the final 3. Are we talking who's in the final 3? If Brandon's in the final 3. I'm saying I would vote for Brandon.
I would have voted for Coach still.
We're talking about if it was Brandon, Coach, and Sophie, I'm assuming. Yeah. See, I think Sophie burned Coach so hard, it's hard not to vote for the person who burned Coach so hard.
I don't think Brandon gets Coach.
I'm just saying, there's a situation where I could see myself voting for Brandon if there's no money attached.
Okay.
Like, for just the winning, you won the season, no money. The money is the reason I can't vote for Brandon. I can't give him $1 million because, like, who's going to trick him? Russell? His dad? I don't know.
Sure.
I have no idea.
That makes sense.
So anyways, episode 13, we get Sprint phone with the videos from home. I will say, when Cochran talks to Jeff after getting eliminated by Ozzy, he talks as if, again, it's very telling. Cochran talks about Jeff and Survivor, like a new era, budget era player. The way people talk about Survivor now all the time on the show. Cochran kind of started it.
Like, Survivor changed my life and I love it and everything's
Jeff,
amazing.
you mean so much to me.
Yeah.
And Jeff, at this point in time, just became executive producer in the past couple of years, does not view Survivor the way everyone else does. Because he's always like, really? Like, Jeff, this is just a job. This is a job with and the TV show's lost so many viewers since season 2. Jeff's like, this is just a TV show. Yeah. This Survivor is not like something amazing that Jeff pumps up all the time. This is just Jeff's like, really? Is that important to you? It's like Jeff at some point got some perspective or something and realized how important Survivor is. Maybe it was during COVID. I forget when he starts really stroking the ego of the show he works on. Yeah. But it's definitely not 23 when Cochran's doing it because he's like, really?
Yeah. You don't have more of a life than that?
Yeah, that's like, Jeff's like, you got nothing else going on outside. Like, this is just a job I do. Which is, I think, is the era of Jeff we like the most. Jeff's like the rest of us. Kind of. So anyways, he just, the way he talks here is like a new era player. So Ozzy wins the challenge. And unlike in season 22, when if you won the challenge, you had 3 options. It was either you get to have the loved one with you by yourself. Mm-hmm. You could pick the other people on redemption, which at this point doesn't make sense because it's just Ozzy. I get that. But that's how it worked then. The other people who are on redemption still to have their loved one, or you can give loved one to everyone left in the game. Mm-hmm. And in that season, Mike gave it to everyone left in the game. Now, this time, Ozzy doesn't get a choice. Ozzy, his choice is who in the game gets it, but Ozzy, you think Ozzy would have gotten a loved one visit too. Yeah, you would have thought. Or at least had the option. I think Ozzy, by the way, would have taken the option. Yeah. I don't think he would have given it to anyone left in the game. Maybe. But it works out. So we get, I mean, for TV, I think it works out. So he picks what? Coach, Albert, Brandon, and Albert. Okay, so all the men. And minus Rick, I guess. I guess really, Sophie, the last woman left? Yeah. And Edna until this vote. Yeah, Edna's about to be burned. Yeah. So anyways, they're all in redemption and we get to we don't meet Coach's assistant coach again, unfortunately. It doesn't really matter who Albert's loved one is. I don't remember, but we get to meet Brandon Hantz's dad, who I'm sure Jeff really wanted to be Russell. He's like, don't you want Russell to be your loved one, Brandon? I mean, they talk about Russell so much this season. The show's still obsessed with him. They did like a flashback of him. Yeah. Like they show Brandon walking on the beach and then did like a flashback of Russell walking on the beach. And it was just crazy. And Heroes vs. Villains to make them like, oh, they're so similar, even though they're really not. Yeah. They're really not similar. They're just related. Yeah. So anyways, you meet Brandon's dad, who in his video to Brandon on the Sprint phone says, Brandon, follow your, like a Disney movie, follow your heart, do what you think is best, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, wow, what an encouraging guy. And then you meet him on redemption. He's like, Brandon, you're playing a horrible game. What are you thinking? And it's like, this is the real. Yeah. This is the real, he's not thinking about the camera as much. This is the real Brandon's and then he tries to like talk to Coach and be like, you're going to take my son and what do we need to do to make this deal? He's going to do whatever you say. Yeah, like he's setting up Brandon's game and Coach is not interested. Yeah. Coach like tries to run away from the situation like he's on Parks and Rec. Yes. Yeah. Just running away, man. So, but I mean, he's just like controlling Brandon and telling Brandon you're dumb, basically. And it's just like, again, this is all part of why I say when we wonder why Brandon plays the way he does in 26, remember all of this. This is all set up in my mind. This is all set up for the payoff. So anyways, but yeah, he's being bullied by his dad, kind of like you're playing dumb. Yeah. Like what happened to the guy on the video who said, oh, follow your heart, do whatever you want. Yeah, that was crap. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lie. So yeah, he tries, but then Coach and Ozzy talk, and Coach is like, oh yeah, you come back in the game, final 3. And Ozzy knows better. He's like, really? Yeah. Why would you offer it? Because Ozzy does not offer things unless he's going to do them. Yes. Or has the intention to at least try to do it. Ozzy does not. That's, again, another thing about Ozzy you can like is he does not say things to just keep people to do things. Ozzy, like for better or for worse, if Ozzy said this to Coach, he would have meant it. Yeah. But then when Coach offers it, Ozzy's like, okay, sure. Like, because he doesn't think Coach is going to do it. And he's right. But yeah, he's like, Coach isn't going to do this. But Ozzy in his mind thinks, if I go to the end with Coach, I'm still going to beat him. Yes. Yeah. So Ozzy's like, sure, whatever. But it's another nail in the coffin. Yep. Another nail in the coffin for Coach. He did not have to offer this. There was no reason. Coach's mind, Ozzy's going to win out and he's going to get to pick who gets to go to the final 3. That's what Coach is thinking. Yes. But at what expense? At what expense? So, yeah. Coach wins immunity. Brandon boxes out Edna. They're during this challenge that they've done a few times, but never really works for TV in my mind, where they're like, you like take a step, flip a board, take a step, flip a board. I feel like it's probably cool in the moment and like, but like on TV, I feel like it never. It's just not exciting. But yes, I do like this challenge. I think it's actually a good challenge. In real life, I would like to do this challenge. Right, yeah. But on TV show Survivor, there's just not enough time to really properly convey what happens in it. So they have to montage it and like, all right. Only thing we learned is that Brandon boxed out Edna to make sure she doesn't win. He doesn't care that he lost as long as Edna didn't win. And it's like, again, it's like how you treat Edna, man. Well, and again, that wouldn't have been an issue, except he then just says out loud, yeah, I was doing that so we wouldn't get a certain person out.
And I was like, just,
you just say my name. Yeah.
Like, you're already being rude. Just, like, why add insult to injury? Like, I'm too dumb to know who you're talking about.
Edna asked Coach to play his idol for her. He says no. Edna's voted off. Yep. Episode 14. We're in the next to last episode. Albert says Sophie has a resume, but then he only lists her 2 immunity wins.
Well, at this point in this era, isn't that like the biggest?
I guess that's it.
The biggest thing.
I don't know. Just the way he set that. He's like, oh, also the resume talk. I'm not saying this is the first time this happened as well, because I don't think it is. But this is going to become more prevalent further we go in Survivor. I think even in 46 they talked about a resume. Yeah. It's just it comes up a little bit more, but yeah, the whole resume thing lists her 2 immunity wins. If you think about it,
Albert's won one. So in his mind, they've done the whole game together. Yeah. They have the same game, but she's won 1 more immunity than him.
I get that. I'm with you. The show, in terms of storytelling though, is finally setting up Sophie as a contender to win.
Yeah.
Like if we were doing week to week podcasts, I would not have seriously considered Sophie. But now in episode 14, they want to present this. One episode for the finale. Like, this is why people are like, Sophie's winning game is not satisfying, because it wasn't really established.
Yeah.
All right. Ozzy beats Edna on redemption. Shocker of all shockers. Albert says, I do not care about honor.
In a confessional, right?
In a confessional. Yeah. And I don't care when he said in the game, because it is very apparent in the way he plays, especially this episode.
Right.
Brandon tells Albert, don't worry, bro. The final 3 is in God's hands. And only we can screw it up. And I'm paraphrasing. But that is what Brandon says. He is correct. I mean, I don't know if the final 3 is in God's hands in terms of the way Brandon's thinking about it. Like God's handpicked the final 3. That's not what I'm thinking. But only we can screw it up is actually correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like
that is correct. Brandon wins immunity. Brandon calls out Albert on his lying because somebody told him Albert said a different final 3 that didn't include Brandon.
Yeah.
And I think it was with Rick. And then he calls him out and like Albert's like, oh no, let me explain. Brandon's like, no, yes or no. Like, did you like say this to this person? He's like, well, actually, like Albert got caught. Yeah. Albert got busted. I'm surprised Albert gets out of this with Brandon.
I am too. It's really weird. Like somehow he explains it, but we're not really shown exactly how.
This is another
And Brandon's
time.
just like, I just forgive you.
I wish we had longer. I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
Not always, but it's just like, man, if I could, I know it's like, it's never going to happen, but there's like just episodes I wish had more time for an edit. This is one of them. So I'm like, how did Albert pull this off? Like, I know Brandon isn't bipolar because that's not the right medical term, but he definitely swings emotionally back and forth.
Yes.
So
it's just, I don't understand what Albert did.
Albert says, oh, Brandon, your heart, I feel like it's distant from me.
Yes. So manipulative. But he convinces Brandon to give him the immunity necklace.
Yeah, he does like fake prayers with Brandon and everything.
Yeah.
You know, and then Brandon gives immunity to Albert because Albert's like, I think I'm going. And Brandon thinks he's not. Brandon thinks he's final 3.
Right.
And then but he does it at the beginning of Tribal. Like, it's not like Eric when he gave it to Natalie.
Right.
Like Eric waited, like thought it out, like, all right, made the risk. It was a dumb risk. He made the risk. I feel like Brandon, it's like, this is why it never gets repeated, I think, by Jeff. Like, Eric gives up immunity. It was purely strategy. It was a what, no way moment. This is a what, no way moment, but it's like so much ick attached to it.
Yes.
It's like there's so much context into how this got pulled off, and it's not fun. Eric got tricked by a bunch of women who used their womanly ways on him.
Yeah.
And Brandon got tricked because they were taking advantage of his religious beliefs.
And his naivety. Like,
yeah. Well, it's one thing to be naive, but it's like just the way they went about it. It wasn't like, it just wasn't fun.
Yes,
it's just not, I mean, it's a great move by Albert, I guess, to save himself, but because Albert was going.
Yeah.
Albert was going. That was what was going to happen. But it's just like, ugh, so much ick attached.
Interestingly, Brandon voted for Sophie that vote. Like he was thinking he would save Albert and send Sophie home.
Brandon gives backstory on how his friends at home would abandon him when they would do a gang meetup or whatever with another gang, and Brandon's the only one that show up, and then he gets his butt kicked. It's like, how do I not feel bad? I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
That's heck. It's the same thing right now. It's like he doesn't even realize what he's saying is like connected to what is happening at the moment. And of course, Jeff knows.
Yes.
Yeah, Jeff knows. That's why he's like, ugh. Brandon gets voted off. Coach tells Brandon as he's voted off, it's God's will. Go win redemption.
Yeah.
again, the fakeness, the lies. Like, is it God's will, coach? Because then coach could have played the idol to save Brandon.
Yeah.
Yep.
If he really wanted him
he really
in the
cared
game.
about Brandon.
But he doesn't.
Nope. The immunity necklace falls off of Albert's neck.
I loved that. It was so
after Brandon gets voted
epic.
off. And it's like, oh my gosh. It could have been, it's not scripted, but man, like if it happened in a scripted movie or whatever, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay. But the fact that it happened in real life, it's like the poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go to the finale. Ozzy says Brandon acts like he's playing. Okay. I think this is a really good explanation of Brandon's game as Survivor in this season. Ozzy says Brandon is acting like he's playing with God on Survivor. And what he doesn't realize, he's playing with greedy humans.
Yeah.
And because that is accurate. Brandon plays with this naiveness, like everyone who is telling them that he's Christian, praying with him. And he assumes he's playing with a bunch of Christians and he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
And he's playing with a bunch of greedy humans like Ozzy said. So coach says he is sick of people acting holier than thou.
I don't know why he said this. I don't remember the context, but it's just hilarious.
I think it has to do with Albert tricked Brandon, and coach is acting like, oh no, that's too far.
Yes, yeah,
that was too far. Not the tricking Brandon on the idol, that wasn't too far, or anything else I've done. No, Albert went too far. Okay, coach. This is like, coach is not funny this season. Ozzy beats Brandon on the holding the pole challenge, which is a challenge that Ozzy has dominated in the past.
Yeah.
So Ozzy was going to win that one. Coach tells Ozzy when he gets back in the game, you're not going anywhere. And Ozzy says, I know better than that. Like, let's be real, coach. Coach says this is his game to lose. And I think at this point, could coach win? If Ozzy is not in the final three, if he owns his game at the end, I think maybe he gets another vote.
If he did better at Tribal, I think he could have gotten more votes. Yes. It is technically his game to lose. He has been running the game so far. So,
well, Ozzy wins immunity. And I want to point out, this is the challenge where Sophie's like, Albert, drop your stack and pick mine up and help me. And she really tries to get Albert to do that. And Albert's not going to do it. And Jeff's like, well, we're not helping each other anyway. So I want to point this out because in a later season, there will be a time when somebody helps another person in a final immunity challenge and Jeff says nothing.
Yeah.
But I think it's because that person just of their own free will went and helped that person. Like, it wasn't like demanding.
Sure.
Like, Sophie is demanding Albert to stop competing and come help her. And Albert is not interested.
I still think there should be rules about you do not help other contestants.
I think the rule here was the right one.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I was just telling you why I think there's a different call being made in this season. So, all right. So, Ozzy wins immunity and they're like, crap. Everyone back at camp's depressed. Though coach shouldn't be acting depressed. Remember, he wants to go to final three with Ozzy. Yeah, why is he depressed? Ozzy says Sophie should go, and he is right.
Yes.
He's listened to everybody on Redemption, to be fair. So he's gotten a read on what they think about every single person left in the game, I assume.
Yeah.
So he should know Sophie needs to go. He's right.
Well, also, he knows that Sophie is like one of the only, for some reason, the only person that could beat him in challenges. The only one that's
she's
close.
won 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think she's won only 2 at this point.
And she got really close to beating him with the cards.
Yes. That's really what it is. I think, I don't know if it's as much people on Redemption telling him about Sophie as it is. You're right.
I think it's that.
It's just that she got really close and Ozzy wants a clean win.
And interestingly here, we get Coach being like, oh, Rick's a threat. If he goes to the end, Rick's going to win.
Okay.
We don't know why.
Since when? Yeah. Coach tells Rick he won't vote him off again.
Yep.
A mistake. Does Rick vote for coach at the end? I don't think he does.
He does.
Does?
I looked up. It's Rick, Cochran, and Edna that vote.
I know Cochran and Edna because you can tell by the way Edna talked to Final Tribal that she's like, let's bygones be bygones. Yeah. We didn't see her connect with anyone else that season. So, but Rick voting for coach is still a surprise. That's what I mean. Like Rick.
Yeah.
What a weird. I don't know. It's like what a weird story. And then they don't ever give him confessionals. And when they do, he like talks super clearly. So it's not like Rick's like has some thick accent you couldn't understand. I understand everything he says in his confessionals. It's 8 confessionals he has this season.
Yeah.
Insane. So anyways, coach doesn't play his idol, even though this is his last chance to play his idol.
Yeah.
Because coach is arrogant. So his idol never gets played that he tricked everyone into like letting him have. And Rick's voted off 3-2. And Rick doesn't want to hug coach.
Yeah.
That's what you were thinking of when you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stacy and Rick didn't want to hug coach. He hugs Brandon because Brandon can be taken advantage of. All right, so Ozzy wants Albert and Sophie to make fire. And Coach is like, oh, I love this idea, man. Yeah, okay, Coach. I mean, I think Ozzy, again, this is Ozzy's arrogance on display. He's like, I don't want to clean vote off. I want to make them make fire and earn their spot. Which, again, it's like, how much of the season is like predicting what Jeff is going to want in the future? Ozzy's like, I want to make them earn their spot.
I mean, it's not a bad approach, especially when you're talking to Coach, because supposedly Coach likes competition and drama. He's like, you like the dramatic? This would be so dramatic. Like, we'll be sitting there, we'll final two, and they'll have to make fire. Yeah. So, like, it's not a bad pitch, but... And
of course, Coach, not knowing Ozzy, whether he's going to win immunity or not, is agreeing to the plan, but acting like, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's a great idea, man. All right, so we go to the immunity challenge, which, in my opinion, tailor-made for Ozzy in the physical department, and it is. He blows through the physical part of this challenge. He gets to the puzzle, and Ozzy, I know we think Ozzy's not good at puzzles, but there's no proof of that. Even in Cook Islands, he did pretty well in the puzzles, even in the individual game. So Ozzy's not like some puzzle scrub. It's just that Sophie's better at puzzles.
Well, and also
we'll see that when Sophie comes back in another season. I want to point out Sophie's good at puzzles.
Sophie's very good at puzzles. I also think, I'm not saying it was luck, but once you do get the first piece, it just does go boom, 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 boom. Yeah. But it is almost like luck if you just happen to get that first piece. And Ozzy had said he had that piece that Sophie had, and he tried it, but for whatever reason, like, he just didn't have the right angle or something.
He's probably under a lot of pressure. He knows this challenge is $1 million.
Yeah. So
he knows he has 5 people on the jury who are going to vote for him potentially. I think Cochran still votes for Coach. So 4 people. I think Dawn and the other 3 other spy vote for. That's 4 votes out of 9.
Yeah.
He only needs 1 more.
Yeah. or the split. But yeah, I think it was just like almost luck at the end because they were both so close.
Yeah, I think if let's say Sophie isn't there, let's say they did vote off Sophie and Rick stayed, I think Ozzy has a legit chance to beat. Like, didn't Albert nor Coach had made any progress in the puzzle.
Close, yeah.
Is Rick a puzzle is he a puzzle king? I don't know. I don't think he would be. So it really was Ozzy wanted Sophie gone. Sophie doesn't go, and that's Ozzy's game. Like, Sophie ruins the game.
Yep.
Sophie wins the game, good for her. But it ruins Ozzy winning the game in many ways. Like, Ozzy wanted her gone. She is this, Anyways, so Ozzy gets voted off. But the reality is that Coach is like, oh, back at camp, it's so obvious. Sophie, you're the Dragon Slayer. Yeah. Oh.
Like, knights her and everything.
Yeah, like, it's so open, out in the open. Yeah. Ozzy asked Coach, hey, let me make fire against Albert, and points out all the things Coach had said.
Yeah.
And Coach's like, yeah. Ozzy gets voted off. Because Coach is a liar.
Yes.
Yeah. So we go to Final Tribal, and I don't have notes on all parts of Final Tribal, but here's what I got. Ozzy gives Coach a chance to admit the honest truth. Just like, admit your game. Own your game. I think Ozzy votes for Coach if Coach owns his game here.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't think Ozzy's like, because Ozzy could call Sophie a brat and still calls her a brat after she gets done talking. He doesn't respect Albert. Like, he doesn't respect anything. But I think if Coach owned his game, like, he feels connection to Coach. Like, we're both 3-time players, Like, I saw what you did. It was impressive. Just own it. And Coach will not own it.
Yeah. Nope. He did everything honorably. What are you talking about? Everything Coach, was,
Well, the way Coach presented it was more of like, we have to make hard decisions in this game. And it's like, Coach, you put yourself in those positions, though. Coach played a Russell Hantz game.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, which is hilarious considering how much he hated Russell Hantz.
Yeah.
He played a Russell Hantz game. And I think he was trying to play a Boston Rob game. Because, again, they just got done watching season 22. Yes. But it really is more of a Russell Hantz game than a Boston Rob game. I mean, a mixture of the two. But, yeah. Dawn asks Sophie why she aligned with Coach, and she calls Coach a little girl. And Coach does not refute this.
Coach a little girl, yeah.
Yeah, Dawn would never say that. Dawn's too nice. Dawn does cry a bunch this season. I guess I should mention. I didn't mention it because nothing's about Dawn this season. She cries a bunch. When she comes back, she'll cry again. Don't worry. In case you're wondering, like, oh no, will Dawn not cry the next time? She'll cry. Don't worry. All right. Rick tells Albert his Brandon trick was a bunch of bullcrap and reveals. Well, I mean, Brandon already knew that Albert tricked him, but like reveals that Albert was never had the right intention for Brandon. Yeah. And I think Brandon probably figured that one out at this point. But it's true. And it just tells you who Rick is. But Rick doesn't why does he vote for Coach over Sophie? I don't know.
I don't think he ever connected with Sophie, and I think he saw her as a spoiled brat, the spoiled little girl. He wouldn't respect her game at all.
He called Albert a princess too.
Yeah, we often say that the jury votes for people they can see themselves in.
Yeah,
he identified
at least Coach worked hard.
Yeah,
in his mind, harder than they are too. All right, Brandon points out that Coach said, as a man of God, he would not vote him out. Coach's explanation is not good.
No,
but Brandon forgave him anyways. However,
still doesn't vote for him, but yeah, he says I forgive you.
Well, because we haven't got to the reveal.
Oh,
Brandon asks Albert if he knew he was going home. He's like, yes or no, and Albert's like, well, let me explain. It's just like when they're on the beach. And he's like, am I in your final three? Like, what's your final three? And it's a yes or no, yes or no, yes or no.
Yeah,
it is, and all season Brandon's like everything's black and white, and like it is true most things, but.
All he had to say is no. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Even if it was truth or lie or whatever. Like I don't understand
I think
why.
Brandon already knew the truth.
But I don't understand why Albert is waffling here. Well,
Albert in his confessionals prior to this final tribal was like, I think I played an excellent game. And Albert thinks super high of himself as well. He has a lot of arrogance. What are the odds?
Season of arrogance.
Well, I feel like season 21, ever since Russell Hantz been on the show, they've really cast more people who are arrogant, in my opinion. And Albert's another one of them. So, yeah, he thinks he's smarter than he is. He thinks Brandon's easily tricked, and Brandon is over it.
Mm-hmm.
So he does the yes or no thing to Albert. Albert can't just answer the question.
Yeah, he never answers.
And I think he does eventually answer it, but does but it's after so much.
Yeah, after so much, he says, well, no, I didn't think you were going home. Like,
yeah.
So just say no.
Why didn't you just say that at the beginning? If that's what your answer was going to be. Yeah. So anyways, Sophie reveals to everyone how the idol was really found. And she points out it was a bunch of manipulation. Coach already had in his pocket. They're praying. Mm-hmm. And then when she's done with the explanation, shrugs her shoulders.
Yeah.
Because Sophie's like, I didn't have anything to do with that. I was just there.
Which is true. I mean, she could have said something, but.
Cut to Brandon looking shocked.
Yeah, it's true.
Again, Sophie wins 6-3. A Brandon flip is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But a Brandon and Ozzy flip, Coach has 5 votes, Sophie has 4.
Mm-hmm.
Coach wins.
Mm-hmm.
Coach burned himself on Brandon a long time ago, though, by doing that. Like that move, if he had never done that, he just revealed to Brandon, hey, I found the idol without doing the charade around it, would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon would have accepted. I don't know. They keep thinking Brandon was like going to blow up on them, and like he might have, but like he's not going to. I don't know. So anyways, like Coach has treated that situation differently and answered Ozzy's question. Honestly, I think that's all it took for him to win this game. He would have won 5-4. I wouldn't have liked Coach as a winner though. I wouldn't have liked this win. I don't care much for Sophie's win, but I don't like Coach this season.
Yeah. The only thing I think that Sophie really did well is, as we're talking, like each jury member who asked her a question or had a statement or whatever, she responded with what they wanted to hear, but she also responded honestly. Yeah. Like when Whitney came up and was like, you are a spoiled brat. I don't want to give you money. And basically Whitney was like, or Sophie said, yeah, I've realized that. I thought I had a strength in this area, but it's actually a weakness. And, she like humbled herself. And then she
humility
owned up.
Goes a long way at Final Tribal.
Yes. But then with other people, she like really owned up to it. Like, I wanted to play like Russell. Too bad I'm not a man because I can't pick a little girl to follow me. But then I found Coach who as a little girl who followed me and I was perfectly set. Like, so she like had the perfect balance of owning up to what she did in the game, but still having humility. Yeah. So like her Final Tribal was just so good, and you can't argue with it.
When Sophie plays again, I don't want to, just because in case you don't know future seasons, there will be a all winter season in the future. And yes, it is pretty good. And Sophie will be on it. And in that season, you hear more from Sophie. You get to know Sophie better, I feel like. This season, she kind of gets shafted because we have to focus on 4 guys. But in Winners at War, you'll get to know Sophie more. And I think Sophie also figures out what her look is. Because this season, Sophie, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, I don't know how to put this. She gets more attractive over the season. I'm going to leave it at that. Like, but then in Winners of War, she comes with dyes her hair like gray, I think. It's like a whole look. She has a whole look going on. It's like a silver gray look going on. So anyways, I want to point that out. Mary's like, yeah, whatever. All right. So Sophie wins 6-3. Oh, Cochran says Coach played an impressive game, but the honor talk was bad. And he's like, even when he's voting for him, he's like, just own your game, dude.
Yes. So
Cochran's all in. Jeff at the vote, though, says it's always good to be live. Is it, Jeff? Is it always good to be live, Jeff? I'm going to keep that in mind. All right, Sophie wins 6-3. We go to the reunion, and the only part. I mean, there's two parts. One is that they tease One World, which is the next season for those who don't know. And it's a season where both tribes live on one beach. An amazing twist. I wish they would do it again, frankly. They haven't done it since, and I wish they would. It's actually like a good twist. Anyways, we take the time to talk to Brandon, and Jeff's like, Brandon, what did people think about you when they watched you on the show? Brandon's like, people weren't actually that thrilled about the way I was playing. And then he talks about none of his family came to see him. Now, I don't know if his wife didn't come because maybe their baby's young or something. I don't know why his wife wasn't there.
Yeah,
that's the only weird part that confuses me. I get why his dad wasn't there.
Maybe his wife was mad too. I don't know.
I mean, maybe that's not the way he talked about it, but maybe. The way he talked about it is like he has a loving wife and child at home.
That's true.
I don't know why his wife wasn't there. Because there will be winners. I don't know if it's happened in the past, but in the future where like their wife can't come, and it's just like
it happens.
It's not like it's not like a personal thing. It's just life happened that got in the way. So, anyways, Brandon, nobody's there except for Russell, and he goes over to Russell. Jeff does, and he's like, Russell, what do you think about Brandon's game? And he's like, first off, Brandon, I'm your uncle, and if you want me to talk to you and just listen, I will. And I'm like, no, Russell won't. Russell does not just listen.
No.
Has not. However, if you want me to give you advice, and Jeff's like, all right, Russell, you got like 30 seconds. Like, what did Brandon do right? What did he do right? Nothing.
Yeah.
He did nothing right. And it's like everyone in the audience like, what?
Boo.
Yeah. Brandon didn't get to 6th place on doing nothing right.
Yeah.
Or sorry, no, it wasn't even 6th place. It was 5th place, I think.
He got fairly far in the game.
Yeah, really far in the game. Yeah. He got 5th place. He did really well. And he's like, he did nothing right. You try and change my name, my legacy. How can you do that? And it's like, he's just like beats Brandon down. I think I shortened it, but yeah, he beats Brandon down, and Brandon's like on the verge. And by the way, as Jeff gets done asking Brandon about his family coming to see him, Brandon has a couple tears running down his face.
Yeah.
So he goes to talk to Russell because Jeff's all about the TV entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that didn't help.
Yeah.
This is after the season's done airing. This is 6 months before they film again. Keep that in mind. I will bring it up when we watch Fans' Favorites too, because it will affect how Brandon plays. Okay, so that's that season.
Good. It's done. Finally.
I think it was better than 22 and 21. It was more fun for me to watch. I just don't like all the icky religious crap that comes in it. Which is like single-handedly undermines so much.
Mm-hmm.
It does. If there was no icky religious crap.
If Ozzy had come back and won, that would be fine. It'd be okay.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really care for Sophie because I don't know her.
Yep. The show failed to
I
care about
don't
her.
like the religious cult. I don't like most of the cast. So yeah, it's just not a great season in my opinion.
All right, let's answer some questions you all give us on Patreon. All right, first one, Mary. Xavier asked, which players from this season do you want to see on a future returning season, such as a Survivor 50?
I hate to say it, but Ozzy.
That's okay. Say Ozzy.
Like, he's replayed so much, and I would hope by now he's maybe lost some of the arrogance.
If they do a Legend season, Ozzy is like somebody.
To be Ozzy, yeah.
I think if they need to do a no-winner Legend season, Ozzy comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ozzy's like one of those people that just him and Rupert, like kind of like transcend.
Yes.
Like you say the name, just the first name, everybody knows who that is. Yeah, Ozzy. Yep, I know who that is. All right, next question then is from Patrick. Was Redemption Island utilized better this season than the prior season?
I think so, because like you're saying, we like the fact that only the winner got to stay and then the loser went home. So there wasn't like this influx of people, like who's there and who's really doing well and who's not and all that. So I think, yes.
The players got to use it to their advantage as well, as we saw with Ozzy going there on purpose. But I think because everyone got to see it play out once and they did it exactly the same, it actually worked to the benefit of the show because everybody got to utilize it strategically. Like it was an important part of the game.
Yes.
In terms of how it was used. It wasn't just like, oh no, how's this going to work? Which Survivor does like to do. Like make people like be confused. But actually when people know how everything works, that's when we see the most bold gameplay. And so when everybody knew exactly how everything was going to work out this season in terms of how it was going to play out, we saw, I know Polu sat on their hands in a sense, but not, I mean like everyone kind of, I don't know. I think it was utilized much better. I think that we'll do it one more time in Blood vs. Water. I think emotionally it's better that season because it's loved ones that season. But this season, in terms of everybody not being related to each other, yeah, I think it was better than last time. Again, though, they did like the gray aesthetic on all the challenges. And again, there was no gray buffs.
Yeah.
Even though we talked about there during 22 how there was supposed to be. The gray buff would have been cool.
Would have been cool.
If you're going to do gray challenges, do the gray buff. Just makes sense. All right, next question is from Degenerate Male. How do I say it any differently? Do you think Ozzy would actually win the game if he wins final immunity?
Yes.
Who does Ozzy vote off in a final four where he has immunity? Does he remove Albert, Coach, or Sophie?
Well, he tends to go emotionally and with people he doesn't like. So
Sophie.
Probably Sophie.
I think Sophie, yeah. Because Coach would have sucked his guns and been like, oh, I was definitely bringing you to final three. And Ozzy can't prove any differently.
Yeah.
So at that point, Ozzy couldn't prove it.
Mm-hmm.
5RG2 asked, if Savai won at the merge, what do you think happens? So let's say Savai wins, Cochran doesn't flip, Savai gets the numbers advantage. How do we think it plays out in a general sense?
Well, I think that, Apollo would have just been picked off more than likely, and Savai would have held on, and I think Ozzy would have eventually won. I think
Apollo does exactly what Savai does. And Apollo, like the next tribal after they won, they're like, oh, look how not arrogant Savai is now. But Apollo is so arrogant the whole time too.
Yeah.
They're arrogant the whole time. I think that all of a sudden they would act more humble and stuff. Just depends on who goes on that rock draw.
Yes.
Like, does Coach get removed? Chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos if Coach is gone. Because he really was the glue holding them together. But if it's like somebody else, I don't know. I think Coach begs and pleads and tries to make something happen. I don't know. I think at the end, Ozzy wins if Jim doesn't pull together a plan to get rid of him.
True.
I don't think anybody else is pulling together a plan to get rid of Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
So Ozzy wins unless Jim pulls something together to get rid of him. Is my assumption. All right. I'm gonna say this wrong. It's Jairo asks, why did Cochran flip in the merge? Flipping will never win you the game. It's not true.
It's won some people the game.
Won Vesepia the game in season 4. But I get the flip, as we talked about earlier, the flip that he did burned 5 jury members. It's the timing of the flip and the way it happened. It did burn a bunch of jury members. He wasn't going to win with that flip. So, all right. Caleb asked, did Ozzy really bully Cochran? Ozzy, not other people. Ozzy.
That we were shown. I mean, I don't know. It was very mild from what we were shown. I
think Ozzy just never made Cochran feel comfortable.
Yes.
In the alliance, in the group.
Right. Outright bullying him, I don't know.
No.
I don't think we're really shown that.
I don't think it was bullying. I think it was just Ozzy was like, yeah, I want Cochran gone because he's weak in challenges. And Cochran, of course, why would he like that?
Right.
And then he kind of like joked with Cochran a little bit about, The
only thing I can really think of is telling him how to handle Redemption Island. Like when you have all these people like telling you what to do, it does feel like bullying. It feels like pressure. But if all I'm saying is if that one conversation that's pretty minor. But
yeah, again, I think other people bullied Cochran, I guess in that sense. But in terms of Ozzy never made Cochran feel comfortable, and that's just a bad move in his part.
Yes.
Jess asked, why do people think Cochran was smart in this season? He played terribly, couldn't understand probabilities. Couldn't put on sunscreen, couldn't socialize with the majority of his tribe, could never ever won the game. L. You don't have to explain it. I think that's just an opinion. I think the question was hypothetical.
Okay.
Giovanni says, how much blame do we put on Savai for not playing a nicer social game to keep Cochran on their side? I think that's it. That's it. The Savai group as a whole screwed that up.
They ruined their whole games by just not being nice.
Dawn told Cochran, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't flip. We should stay loyal.
Yeah.
Dawn was the only one who I think actually had a friendship with Cochran and tried to get him to not flip.
Yeah.
But she didn't try super hard because she totally could have blew up his plan to Savai, which I don't know. Let's say had Dawn blown up the plan to Savai, do they bully Cochran into not flipping?
That's true. I don't know what would have happened in that case. I think Cochran would have just felt more betrayed because his one friend.
Yeah.
He would have just been pushed farther over to
same result
to Apollo. Yeah.
Of course, I can't knock Dawn. She's not the one who did the flip, and she didn't know for sure if Cochran was going to flip.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Billy asked, who from Savai do you think would have won if Cochran didn't flip? We kind of talked about it. I think Ozzy wins unless Jim somehow pulls. Yeah. At that point, I don't know because the story would have been told differently. Keith and Whitney wouldn't have been hidden away.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been more of characters, I assume. All right. Laura asks, okay, so Ozzy versus Coach is weird. But if production really wanted the captain season again, who would you cast as the captains? Oh, we kind of talked about this. I said based on what we saw so far, Parvati Sandra or Parvati Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been good if they were to. I would have gone with a couple of women since we just did a couple guys. What about you, Mary?
I agree. I think nobody like off the top of my head, except for no, I'm blanking.
If you say, give me any hints, I'll help you out.
I want to say Natalie from
Samoa.
No, so see, I'm terrible. I'm seeing her face in my mind.
Are you talking about Natalie from a future season?
No, her name's not
Oh,
Natalie.
Bolton?
No, her name's not Natalie. It's just the name that came out. So you're gonna just edit this out.
I'm not editing this out. I want to figure this out. Who?
No, her and the dude were the only two people left from their tribe, and they were in the jungle.
Stephanie and Bobby John. They already did that. That was Guatemala.
I was trying to think of another woman I would want to come back.
So Stephanie LaGrossa. Okay.
Possibly. And I don't know. I really like Sandra, but
I don't think that would have worked.
It probably wouldn't have worked
in a dual sense. Stephanie's good challenges. Sandra just won the game twice. That's the reason I didn't really want to do Sandra at that point. It's like Sandra had already won twice. They didn't get winners in either of these matchups. So even Parvati would have been off. I don't know. Top of my head, I don't know. Natalie. You meant Stephanie LaGrossa. Yeah, I think Stephanie, she already got her shot on a season like this and she got second place. So yeah, she got her shot. All right. Well, we thank you all for listening. We will see you next time for Survivor One World. Okay, bye.
Bye.